welcome to Boardgames with Niramas. I'm Joseph. I'm here with Racco and Andreas and Mats. It's a bit weird.
Hello again.
Direction of the thumb. Welcome back, guys, and welcome back to you, all the viewers out there. We are here for the top 10 games of all time. The top 10 best games. Can you imagine, guys?
Nope.
Yeah.
Or yes.
So probably going to be a few good games on these
lists. A few good, yeah.
A few good ones.
And some less good, depending on who has them on their list and all that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, Josef, when you said before the show began here that we had 41 different games. Was that right?
On our last segment, yeah, we did a 25 to 11. So if you haven't seen that, in the description of the video here, you can find the link to all the top 100 game list videos. And in the last one, we had 15 each, basically, but we had 4 overlaps, so we had 41 unique games that we talked about during 2 hours. That was impressive.
That was super interesting that we had so few overlaps.
There's going to be more today, I think.
And I also think so, because we're playing a lot of games together, but yet we have so various games on our top list. Which we have. Weird.
I mean, I play a lot of solo.
Yeah,
I mean, we play different ways as well.
I think the top 10 will be much more similar, though.
Yeah. And Draco has been really excited. He had a hard time sleeping last night because he was so excited to see what games you have on your lists. So let's get going and see what.
I actually have 6 new games on my top 10 list from last year.
6 new games. Wow.
Yeah, but I only have 5.
You have 5 new compared to last year?
Yeah, some of them were very near top 10 last year.
Okay, yeah.
So, but a few ones that have just appeared.
Okay. I only have 1 new, but
yeah, and I know what it is. It's
Okay, so let's get going with number 10. And Andreas, you are up first, so let's hear it.
All right, thank you for letting me start again. My number 10 was mentioned the last time. It's a game from 2017. It's a Terra Mystica type game. It's the Clans of Caledonia.
Oh, so it's not Terra Mystica.
No, it's a Terra Mystica type game.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think the designer Juma Al-Juju probably was really inspired by Terra Mystica because it's sort of the same system.
Yeah.
But it has a lot better. The theme is a lot better because it has cows.
It has a theme,
and the game is more fun as well, I would say, than Terra Mystica.
The game is awesome. I really enjoy this game. It has all the good parts from Terra Mystica and Gaia as well. It's so similar, but it has some things that they do different.
The market mainly, right? Contracts as well, I guess.
Yeah. So the game is a lot about fulfilling contracts, and the contracts. It's interesting because I think it's 6 rounds in the game, and in the first round you get coins for accepting a contract, and then you get additional things when completing them. But in the last round, I think it costs you 15 or 20 gold just to accept the contract, which is very expensive. So you really want to complete contracts as early as possible. But if you do that, you might not build a good engine. So there is a good when to push for doing the contracts, etc. So.
And it's also really fun, I think, in the contracts because you get sugar canes and you get tobacco, and then you get points at the end of the game based on how many other ones has also these on their contracts. So it's a good sort of, it's not an area control way, but it's sort of.
I like the scoring, yeah.
It's really, really cool in how they've done that. I think it's rather unique actually as well in terms of how you score those things. So
I feel like I want to play this game more because you guys talked about it. Like it's my number 121, so it's not a bad game. Like that's still a good game, but
it's not an awesome game for you.
Yeah, what was it for you, Mats? Was it 11?
13.
13. Okay.
Yeah. So it also has asymmetric player powers, or like you play Scottish clans, and they all have different abilities. And I really like that you have to try to play to the strengths. Like and they are very varied. So it's a lot of replayability. I just wish there was a expansion for this. I think that this game deserves an expansion at some point.
I think so, and I think that especially some new clans would be fun. I mean, a game doesn't need that much really, but it just maybe needs some new clans just to make it, and maybe some new contracts, some sort of thing you can do maybe, but not too much. Not too much.
Shipping tiles. You could have new shipping tiles for the corners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some added variability maybe.
Yeah.
So I think that would be great. So Clans of Caledonia is a new game on the top 10 for me. So
good choice.
Being right.
Good choice.
So yeah, moving on. Mats.
Yeah.
Do you have a number 10?
I do have a number 10. It's a new game on my list. It's a new game from last year. It's Lost Ruins of Arnak that pops into my number 10. That's without the expansion, because the expansion is probably going to make this game even better.
You haven't gotten the expansion yet, right? So.
Yes, I do. I got it the other day.
Yeah.
So I will solo play this one soon. I think just to try the different characters and see how they play. I think that's one of the things that I'm just connecting back to the Clans of Caledonia, which is where you want to play all the different clans, and the same thing here. You want to try all the expedition leaders just to see how different they play and how they change the gameplay, how you play the game. I think that's a fun thing. But I mean, even without the expansion, not getting too much caught into that, but I think this is sort of combo wombo, trying to find good ways to optimize your rounds and turns as much as possible. And like we discussed also, I think in the last list here, is every move counts. Because if you can sort of have a bit to be a bit eager to do something, but then you say, oh no, I should have done that before. These kind of things. So you really have to plan and strategize your rounds or turns. Actually,
I really thought that this game would be a lot higher on your list, because you've talked about this over and over and over again privately. So yeah, I really thought that would be higher. I only played it once. I thought it was fun. I know that you guys think it's a good deck building aspect. I only played once. I didn't really feel that, but maybe if you played them some more times. I was trying just to buy a few good cards, and you just kept buying everything, and that was much better. I learned just
you can play the game very differently, like you.
Yeah. So, but
on the surface, the game is very like mid-weight and easygoing, but there's a lot of strategy. Like you can go different routes.
And I think I did something that you said, like, you won't get so much points from that. And I was like, I'm going to prove these guys wrong because I know what I'm doing. And I came.
You know, Andreas, that's our R&D department. We have to do these kind of things. We have to research and develop things just to see how they work.
That's perfect. Every time someone is losing, I'm like, it's the R&D department.
R&D work over here.
I will also add here that this is the only game that we have videos for on the channel that are both from Mats and from me. So that says something as well about the game, right? Because Mats made a solo playthrough, and just recently I made a 2-player playthrough together with Draco, where Draco obviously beat me because it's impossible to beat him in these Euro games. But it's a really good one. Good pick, Mats.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, just to pitch this a bit more with the solo campaign that they have freely released on the CGE. It's fantastic, I think, in terms of solo gameplay. I think it's really, really good. And funny to see how they use the components in the regular game, just use them very differently, and it's a totally different experience from the base game. So.
And it's a free sort of website or web app, so you don't need to like even print and play anything. You just go use the website.
You can do whatever you want there, but I think the app is so much easier because it keeps track of everything for you. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah, really good pick. Okay, so my number 10 here. Is a game that I know that you guys like as well. This is the Pursuit of Happiness. Pursuit of Happiness has been in my top 10 a long time now. It was number 7 last year. So it's in the sort of same spot here. I don't think the 1 or 2 placement movement here matters that much. But this is one that we haven't played in a good while, though. I really want to play it. And I know, Andreas, you're the one that owns it in the group. And you have a bunch of cool expansion for it as well. Yeah, Mats also has it, right? Do you have all
I got mine too
as well?
No, just the base game.
I don't want to play with you. I want to play with Andreas.
You know one there, Okay.
Yeah, this game is so good. It's like it's a worker placement game as its base. It has some. If we just talk about the worker placement mechanism, there has some interesting twists. Like you can go to the same, you can do the same action more than once. You can go there with another pawn, but if you do, then you will sort of take stress because you're doing things, you're living a life. So if you do something too much, obviously you stress out. I don't know if that works in real life. Like if you study
But
too much.
I think that it's healthy for you to do many different things.
It's like food, right? You want to eat a balanced diet. I don't know.
Yeah, no one really enjoys doing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, but it's I think it makes I think it's interesting that normally in a worker placement game you're like hindering other people from doing things. Here it's more like
true.
you're hindering yourself.
Yeah, because you can go to a spot that I already been to, right?
Yeah, there are some exceptions to that with the expansions, but in the base game at least, the worker placement is very open.
It's also feels it's not a drafting game, but it feels a bit like the networks or nations in the sense that every round there will be sort of new cards coming up. So if I do like if I want to get into a relationship, then there's going to be what is like 4 different partners I could pick up over there, or like get into a relationship with, and then next round, I don't know. Do you remove everything? I don't remember now.
You refresh all the cards
everything
in every new round.
Yeah.
But I think the jobs and the relationships they only refresh between rounds unless you spend some type of resource for short-term happiness.
So like if Bob is out there and he's a perfect partner for me right now because
and I snag him first.
Yeah, or maybe just like he favors a workaholic and I already have 2 jobs and then I should get Bob right because he will give me a lot of happiness. Then if I don't get into that relationship this round, he might be gone the next round.
Yeah.
So that's why I get the same feeling.
Which makes sense because each round is like is a different
decade basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that guy, he probably moved on, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
Didn't wait for you, So
I will also say I like speaking of the relationships. It's just a minor thing, but I like that they you can always choose the gender of who you enter a relationship with. So it's not like this typical hetero stereotypical thing there.
You can do whatever you prefer.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what you prefer. And I really like that you can. We talked about this many times when we talked about this game, that it's interesting how you can sort of live a similar life to what you're actually living. You can, or sort of, this the classic Western life, but you can of course mix in things like, oh well, I'm gonna go to space as a project, or I'm going to get into whatever like sport or something that you. So it's very interesting how you sort of, while we play this, we usually tell a little story to each other as well. It's not just the heads down, just Euro stuff. It's more like, oh, look at this, guys. I'm actually building up a collection of pets over here, and that's really cute and fun. And we're having a laugh and talking about the.
Yeah, but the game behind it is really mathy from time to time. It's super mathy. It's like, all right, I really need one of these type of resource tokens, and like a knowledge or.
Because Bob might require me to have a certain thing at the end of each sort of decade, otherwise he'll leave me. So
and then you might have to have money because you have to pay some kind of upkeep for your pets or whatever. I'm not really sure how to. So it's rather heavy on the math side as well. But I think the game excels when you try to also enjoy the game and the flavor of it.
Exactly, because I can imagine playing this game with a totally different, like with different people, and I wouldn't enjoy it as much because if they were just into the whole like, oh, I'm going to score the most points and maximize.
Yeah, but I think that the game has. I think that you can enjoy the game if you're
in the min max, you can have a good time that way as well. Yeah.
But then there are many other games.
That's true.
That competes in this time frame.
I think it's also fun when you have I think you can have 3 different. You can have a work partner or project, right? You can have maximum 3 in your play area, but you can also get more if you like.
If you have 2, you can have 2 partners, but
but then you will also get stress. And also if you have 2 jobs or if you have 2 projects or something. So I think that you can can bend the rules, but you're going to pay the price. I think that's pretty.
I want to try it. Yeah. Next time we play, I want to try to have like 3 partners and just be like double life guy and just run around
Triple
between different
life guy.
houses and different wives and families, and see if I can manage that. I'll probably die at like 60 or something. Because of stress.
And this game has a few really, really nice expansions that adds not so much like a new board or something, and also has a lot of like just add more cards to this deck.
Yeah.
And I kind of like those expansions as well in games.
Yeah, they're really good. So that's my number 10, Pursuit of Happiness.
Good choice.
Was my number 13. Yeah. So my number 9. Speaking of the good games now, right? Good games. This game was mentioned, so it's a crossover, but not from the. If you watched the last episode, so it's Uwe Rosenberg's best game. Obviously, it's.
I agree, even before you said it.
A Feast for Odin, released in 2016. It was 22 the last time I ranked this game, and I played it 3 times since then, I think, and every time has been super amazing. I really like. Even I played with Mats, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know what's happening," but I enjoyed watching you.
That's why I did it. You know.
Yeah, feel the brain burn. It's for those who don't know, it's a super open sandbox. It has 60 or 80 country. It has worker placements. I think. Yeah, worker placements spots. It's so many you can't count them, and it has an interesting twist. So, for instance, if you want to build something, you can either place 1, 2, 3, or even 4 workers now. Or with the expansion, you can place all of your remaining workers. And then, so there are 5 columns now, I think, in the game, and the rightmost column is the is the best one for each type of action. But unless you can snag a few column 1s and maybe 2 column as well, so it's like whatever you need. So I might spend 2 workers, and then Joseph spends 1 worker and 1 worker, so you might be longer in the round. I really like that.
I am surprised that you don't play this game that way, because you like to play certain other games that way, that you just do one little action and then it's like the next player's turn, and then you get to do a lot of stuff at the end when it's only you playing, and you will really love that because everyone is sitting back.
I've tried that as well.
Can Andreas be done sometime soon?
Yeah, but it has it has many good things to it. So what is also it has a super complex puzzling system. So what you need to do is to fill your home board with
it's like Tetris pieces.
Yeah, Tetris pieces, and it's and they are like and there are certain rules for how you can place them. So there are like green goods and blue goods, and blue goods can be combined however you want, but green goods can't ever be near another green good. And then there are other types of good as well, and you're trying to do that. And on your home board, you can also like enclose certain things to get bonus production, and you're trying, oh, all right, I really need that. I'm not really sure what that sword or something with a hook, because that can circle that space there, and then I need that. It's crazy.
That's the tricky thing, because if a lot of these pieces are like rectangular and so on, but there's also these like special pieces that you can pillage, or you can pick up different kinds of. It's kind of cool thematically as well, because you might pick up, let's say, like an anvil, which represents sort of you upgrading your blacksmith in your village. But you have a piece that is like an anvil, and so the shape, you need to fit the shape in that little puzzle, and at the same time try to build sort of certain squares, but you're also trying to up your income of silver every round. Yeah. And to do that, there's rules for how you have to build in order to upgrade your silver. It's really cool. Yeah, I don't like the puzzle that much, but I love the worker placement part. So.
Yeah. That was my number 9. That was a long talk about the Feast.
It's a big game, right? So you have to talk.
It is a big game.
Talk very heavy about it
as well. Okay, Mats, are you prepared for your number 9?
Yes, I am prepared for my number 9. And these are the really good games, right?
You said so.
I don't know.
You claim so.
So this is another new game on my list. It's a new game from this year. So it's a deck building game that I really grown to like a lot as a solo game. So it's Imperium Classics and Legend. I'm playing it mainly solo, but I think it's fantastic. And it's also something I played on 2 players that I think works really well on 2 players. But as a solo game, it's fantastic in how you're sort of but basically you sort of read the civilization, right? And there's 6 different civilizations in these 2 boxes. There's one classic and there's one legend. So you have 6 sort of historical factions or civilizations, and then you have the legends, which is sort of these sort of maybe not the correct ones, but they are mythology. Yeah, that's a tough word to say. But anyways, yes, thanks. And they all are very different in how you play them and how you build your deck and how you sort of do your management and how quickly you can build up your civilization, because you want to go from being a barbarian to an empire. And that's where you sort of can grow your civilization and start scoring the big points, basically. So you want to sort of make that switch rather quick. But some civilizations are, of course, better in that phase, and they have a longer time before they reach to be an empire. So it's very funny how to play. And I think also in the solo mode, there is each. So when you should pick a civilization, you pick one for the solo mode as well. And they have a specific sort of ranking system depending on the symbols on the cards that makes them really asymmetric in how you play versus them again as well, which I think is super cool. So that's a really good system they've done there.
What would you say, because we've been onto this topic a lot of times here, where like, is it more deck building or is it hand management as well?
I think it's a good combination of both, because you actually sort of you get acquiring new cards, but you don't want to sort of acquire them too quick, because then you will get these negative cards in your hand. But also in terms of how you play your hands, because each time you sort of go through your draw pile, you get to add a card from your sort of
that's an
civilization
interesting mechanic there. Yeah, so you want to get through your deck, because every time you shuffle, you get to add a better card in.
So you don't want to have, but then you can also garrison cards, as it's called. You can put them when you do sort of new land. You can put cards underneath just to thin out your deck, but then you can sort of
get them
back. And play them again later on. So I think this is the game we should try to play, because I think you both really will like it.
Write it down.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, I really want to play this. I've seen Mats' solo playthrough that is on the channel that you can go check out as well if you're curious. This was one of those. Sometimes when Mats contributes these solo playthroughs to the channel, sometimes I just watch them in editing, because I do the post editing, and then I feel done watching them. This one I actually went back and watched the whole thing as edited as well, because I got so interested in the game. So.
Haven't you played it, Joseph?
Oh, I haven't played it. I got it, and then I passed it on to Mats, because I didn't have time to play all my games.
So I'm happy about that. So
I haven't played it either.
No, but it's on the list now. So we're going to play it soon. I mean, that's what they're saying, but I think
the box.
No, but in the general, that's why they say it's a good solo game. But when I played a 2-player game, it was actually quite quick, so it's not that long anyway.
It got a lot of buzz in the solo community in board games. Yeah,
and I think if you played Imperial Settlers, right, you like that. This is sort of the same, but I would say
there's some similarities.
Similarities in how you sort of build your engine and these kind of things, but it maybe more of a deck building, hand management than Imperial Settlers.
I really like it. Like I talked about Aeon's End in the previous video. I really like when they take a mechanism that I really like worker placement or drafting or deck building or hand management, and they do some kind of new twist to it, right? So all of a sudden you feel like you know the base of the mechanic, but you get to do something new with it. And this one has the whole thing where with the you get cards out of your deck, but then you get them back again. I think that's pretty unique. Most of the time, deck builders, you trash a card, it's gone out of the game. So,
and there's also, you have this history, right, in your civilization. So you want to place cards in your history where sort of you can get rid of cards that slow your deck down, but might give you a lot of points. You want to put those cards in your history, etc. So it's a lot of things in how you need to puzzle it together. So
I really want to play this one. All right, so let's go to my number 9. This has been in my top 10 for a long time as well. Well, it's been in my top 20. It goes back and forth a little bit, I guess. It was 22 last year, but last year I don't know what I was thinking. This should absolutely be here. It's number 9.
Check.
is This War of Mine. This War of Mine is one of my favorite games of all time, for sure. I played it since last year as well, and I had such a good time with it.
Is this the only new game on your list? You said you had one new game.
No, I meant a new game that hasn't been in my top 100.
New game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. No, there's.
Yeah.
There's.
I just had to.
Yeah, it's this one and one other that was 14 last year, and then it's a brand new as well.
A new game.
Yeah. So This War of Mine is a. It's just like I usually compare it in a sense to my experience of it is similar to Tainted Grail, because it's one of those games, or actually it's also similar to Pursuit of Happiness, because it's one of those games where the mechanism of the game is not the most important thing for me. It's the experience of the game. And in This War of Mine, you have the whole system. This is Awaken Realms. It's the whole thing, which it's the same company as made Tainted Grail as well, and Nemesis. And you have the whole thing where you there's some dice rolling, there's some push your luck, there's some worker placement, but that's not that important, because you have this like booklet or even an app that you can use for this one as well, where you will be faced with different kinds of decisions during the game. And in this one, This War of Mine is about a war, about civilians in a war, which is a terrible theme for a game. And at the first time I heard about this, I was like, this doesn't sound fun. Like, why would we want to sit around and... But the thing is, and I think this happens in real life as well, when you're in a really traumatic, terrible situation, you develop some kind of, dark humor and so on. And I guess that's human nature in this game as well. So when we can't feed this guy, we only have a limited amount of food in our house, and someone has to go hungry and they're going to starve. That's terrible if you would think about it in real life. But in the game, you sort of end up laughing around about, okay, he's going to go hungry today again. And it's like, haha. I don't know. It's weird, but I really enjoy this game. And I played it's based on a computer game. I played through the computer game recently, actually, for like, I don't know, 5th time or whatever. But there's new like DLCs and everything. And I actually think the computer game is darker in a sense, because it's like the music and the story of the characters. And
did you play it 5 times?
Yeah, something like
Say
that.
But
it's so like you can play with different houses and different scenarios.
The story changes,
Yeah, and now they have these, like, for the computer game, they have this like DLCs where it's like a story, so you don't play. You're not trying to survive anymore like normal. You're trying to find your daughter, or there's some actual. I will say that's one thing I haven't done in the board game, though. I haven't played with the kids module. There's a lot of modules for this game, the expansions, because I just feel that's too dark to have a kid in there. I played with the pets, though, and having the dog is pretty good. He can help you defend the house at night. Problem is you have to feed him meat every day or he runs away. And meat is very, scarce resource. So,
So are dogs, probably, then.
That's true as well. This is one of those games where I think it would make thematic sense if you could eat the dog. I know in Robinson Crusoe we joked about that you should be able to eat the dog at some.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess they don't want to put that in the game.
Yeah.
For some people, I think that's more sensitive than having kids in the house.
Mats, have you played this?
No, I haven't.
No.
I'm not that drawn to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Joseph keeps talking about this game, so I probably need to try it at some point.
You should try it once. I mean, it is in some sense very similar, again, to Robinson Crusoe or to those like adventure games. It's more like an experience we share together. This is a long game, though. This is at least, I think, depending on how you do. If you do badly, you're going to end in an hour because, but if you do good, then you might be sitting there for 6 hours. So this is, and you can save the game. So it's like,
I played it with you, Joseph, a few times, and I think story-wise, it's a lot better. Maybe if you compare to Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah,
like
it is. Yeah. Deeper
it's
story,
more. Yeah, it's a deeper story, but it's. I think Robinson Crusoe that you have to tell the story yourself. This is more like you're given the story here, and you have to make choices, but the narrative is already there. But I really think that the gameplay is bad. Is a strong word, but it's not very good.
You don't like the dice rolling, I think, right?
And there are many things. I think the best thing about the game is the booklet. So whenever I play those type of game where the mechanisms are like when the gameplay is not that strong, I really just want to sit there and read the book. I want to be the
narrator.
Yeah, that is. I find that to be the most fun.
Another game I think that is similar to this in that sense is Mansions of Madness, second edition, where basically what you're doing in the game is not you move like 2 spaces on your turn and you can roll a die to see if you succeed on a test. But the story is interesting and the development of the
I agree.
Yeah, I love this game. This is gonna stay in my top 20 or whatever.
Interesting. It's top 10. Top 10.
Yeah, it really moved up this year. I made a whole
Mm.
solo playthrough series that's on the channel as well, where I had such a good time. And then I played. I loved it playing this on stream as well, because then the viewers can chime in with like, "Oh, you should go and do this." And yeah, so that's this War of Mine, the board game.
Yeah, great. My number 8, coming up to the good games now. This is a type of game that Mats hates to play. It's a social deduction game.
Is it Ultimate Werewolf?
No, it's not.
See you in 15 minutes.
It is the best social deduction game, in my opinion. It's the Resistance. And
oh, really?
I think that's the best version of it.
Wow.
I used to like Secret Hitler more earlier, but I've changed. I've swapped to the Resistance. And I enjoy Avalon better than the base game, but I think they are pretty similar. So let's group them together.
Yeah, I would say Avalon is way better though.
Yeah, I think that you can add some expansion. It's probably similar, but Avalon you get everything in the box for free. So the Resistance Avalon came. It's almost 10 years old, 2012. Designed by Don Eskridge. It was number 19 last year. I ranked game, so it's moved up. I have played it a couple of times this year.
Did you play it with Mats?
No, Mats is not allowed to play these types of games any longer.
And I'm very, very grateful for that. Actually,
I will convince Mats to play it again at some point under the right circumstances. But so in Resistance Avalon. You're given secret roles, so half of the players are the good guys, and half of the players are the bad guys. Sort of. It's always.
Is it 50-50?
No, it's not 50-50. It's roughly like that. It's always more good guys than bad guys.
Yeah.
And as most games in this genre, it's like the bad guys knows each other, and the good guys doesn't know anything. But it has some twists here. It's like one of the good guys might be Merlin, and the Merlin knows who the bad guys are. But if the good guy sort of wins, then the assassin on the bad side can try to assassinate Merlin, and the bad guys wins in the end. Yes, Mats.
But Merlin is easy spot because usually he has like a cone hat and a big beard, so he's pretty easy to see who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a problem with playing as Merlin if you have to have this hat. No, but I think it's super entertaining. You have to have the right group for it, obviously.
All of these kinds of games are very sensitive to, like, you can't have people like Mats because.
But I've had so many good experience with playing social deduction games. It works with any types of groups almost, or like you don't have to be a board gamer or whatever. You just like to chat to people and interact and try to figure out. And if you like to lie a little bit, that's also good.
Yeah.
It's always hard when you are given, like if you play 3 or 4 rounds one evening and you end up being a good guy every time and you don't know anything. That can be quite frustrating. It's always fun to play the bad side once every now and then.
I will say that I, as you might. It's not a big surprise. I have a social deduction game on my top 10 as well. That's
what would it be?
The pro with Resistance and Avalon is that you don't have any player elimination, and you can also play with like 5 people, which you can't do with the game I'm going to mention later on. Well, you can, but it doesn't really work well.
They released a new version of this, or not a new version, but they released a game called Quest, or released a new game called Quest, which is like the Resistance, and you skip some rules. You just get to the fun part directly, so they claim. It's a bit easier it's a bit easier. You can play it with 4 players. I have a copy, but I haven't been able to.
I want to try that.
Play it yet. It seems promising, so I want to try that as well and see if it's better or worse. Not sure.
But, well, I'm happy to see that you have some social deduction on here. So
yeah, so
I'm really happy about that too. So
yeah, Mats, do you have anything to add on this game? No, he's silent. as he usually is when playing social deduction games. So Mats, moving on from my number 8 to your number 8.
So now we're going to talk. Comparison is going to be a really good game. So.
Okay, bring it.
Okay, sorry. No, it's a great choice, Andreas, of course.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you,
good.
Mats. That
You're
means
so polite today, guys.
That means the world to me. Your endorsement.
Sorry. Okay.
Your number 8.
Here comes another new game on my top list. That's especially, I mean, I ranked the top 20 last year, so it's new on that list.
It's new top 10, you mean?
The new top 10, yeah. And it's actually a new game on my list here too, I think. I don't remember. But it's Crystal Palace, a game of what's it called? The World Exhibition in 1851 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Where you sort of have I think there's so much good things going on in this game, especially with one of the key favorite things is the dice placement. Sort of you have dice as workers, but you don't roll them. You just set the value that you want them to have, and then you pay for each of the peeps on the die. So the higher number, the more money it's going to cost you, but you will also have, of course, go first if you are the person that has the total highest number on your dice. And then I just love this. That's one of the key things, but I also think the tightness of this game, both in terms of the money and also in the places where you place your workers. Because even if there's like 4 places available to place your die, there might be only 3 places that you can actually activate the die. So if you have high die, you have actually possibility to knock someone else out, which is really, really tight in this game sometimes, especially on a lot of players.
Yeah, I played it once. So like in every round, you have like this common phase where you sort of
set the dice.
Yeah, and then you do a reveal. Right?
Reveal, yeah, and the highest value goes first, and then sort of you go in turn order. So if you're lucky enough, you can sit next to the person who is highest.
It's like the sum of the values.
Yeah,
like the
total
highest
sum.
sum.
Yeah.
And for instance, if you have the highest sum, you have like a 1 and a 4 and a 4 and a 5.
Yeah.
And you can start with placing your number 1 or your 5. You can choose whatever you want. Yeah, that's interesting. It's and you have to pay. Yeah, I played it once. It was really, really, really intriguing.
You were not. No, it wasn't you, Josef. You have to play this one?
No, this game is the one so far mentioned on our whole total list. I know nothing about this game.
Okay. There's a solo playthrough on this channel though of the game.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's one that I didn't watch. I just did the editing. I never understood how the game worked. I just oh, Mats is saying something weird. I'm gonna edit that out. I have no idea what he's talking about.
But it's super cool because it's a super tight balance of engine building sort of, and also going into developing your patent into prototypes and hiring the right people and all these kind of things. So many things you want to do each round, but you have usually too little workers or money to do everything you want to do, which I think is
but it has a lot of these moments where you're comboing things that you tend to like, Joseph, as well. So but I think the game is really about placing those dice in the beginning of each round, trying to figure out, can I do this? Like if you really, really want to go first on the patterns, then place a 6.
It sounds really fun. It sounds like a lot of pieces of games that I like. So
So, but you might be like, right, maybe if I just place a 2 here or 3, then maybe I can like go for a second or third when this action is resolved, because they're like every action space is resolved in fixed order, and then you go from highest to lowest wherever you place it, and maybe I can put a 1 here or 2 here, and even and still get something from it. That's very exciting, and so it's like what can you do with a very finite number of resources. I have only played it once, so I can't rank it. It was a fun experience.
I played it quite a lot solo because I developed a solo mode, so I think it's that's I sort of tend to really picked up on a lot of things that I think is really fun about this game. So I really like Crystal Palace. It's definitely a game we should play. Joseph,
maybe
I'll put it on the maybe.
Maybe call them.
Okay, so a game
A great choice.
that we all have played, and some of us played this more than others. Some of us have played the game while others sat around for 39 minutes and didn't do anything.
Okay, I know what
My
game
number
is.
8 is Tapestry. Tapestry is Jamie Stegmaier's best game.
I'm gonna
in my
scroll
opinion.
on my list now to find it.
Such an amazing game. This is one of those games where, in theory, I shouldn't like this game shouldn't be that good because the game is unbalanced, as you know. It's the most
Super
unbalanced games
unbalanced.
I know. It also has this like not player elimination, but someone could end, as I was joking about here earlier. So Andreas played sort of faster in a sense than everyone else because you play.
I played badly.
You played badly, yeah. So then he was done with the game, and then it was 39 minutes to go until everyone else was done. If someone told me about that, I would be like, "Oh, that doesn't sound like a good game." But the thing you do in this game is so much fun that it outweighs the bad. Like, I'm having such a fun time every time I play this game. I never had a bad experience with this, and I played it recently on Board Game Arena as well. Now, I don't like Board Game Arena for this. I like to have the actual tokens in my hand, and I love those little houses and whatnot. The components are amazing for the board game as well. And I played the expansion this year. This is why it has moved up, by the way. It was number 14 last year. It moved up because I played the solo.
You like that expansion?
The expansion? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it almost added nothing to the game, in my opinion.
No, but you haven't played solo. It adds a whole solo campaign that didn't exist before.
All right, sorry, I didn't know that.
It adds something for the multiplayer as well, and I don't think it's bad things. It's just there's more cards. It's more like it's one of those expansions that it's good to have.
I thought it was pretty expensive for an expansion that didn't add anything to.
It adds like new buildings and
a few ones.
But for the solo gaming, I mean, I would recommend this to you, Mats, since you like solo campaigns. The campaign is so good. This is like a campaign where, it's like different scenarios. So in the first one, it's sort of normal Tapestry, but then later on, it's like, oh, this round you can't use the military track at all. Like, you're not using that in this game. This game's all about like who can be the first up on the research track. So you compete, or the science track, you're competing with the bots about that. So it's like changes the base rules of the games between the scenarios, and then it also makes sense in a campaign wise. There's a little story sort of. So it's so good. Really impressed by the solo campaign, and I'm really impressed by also, I must say that James Stegmaier and Stonemaier Games are trying to, like, the game is unbalanced, but they are releasing like updates and so on. They're taking data from players, and they are listening to he always listens to the community. That's one of his strengths, I think. But like, the game has been, it's a better game now than when it was released. That's what I would say. Like, they have updated and with the expansion and so on. I think it's very hard to balance a game like this, I would assume, with like very asymmetrical factions and then all these little.
That's I don't have a problem with asymmetrical things. We all know that since some of our games we mentioned already build on that. So I don't think that's a problem. I think it's more in terms of I've actually sold this game because I got tired of it because I didn't think it was sort of the same thing every time you play it. It was like, okay, I walk up this track, I walk up this track. So didn't really.
Did you play this solo?
No, I just the regular solo game. I tried a couple of times, but I didn't really get hooked on this game.
I think the regular solo is also really good. Like the way it has the same as Gaia Project. So the Atoma deck, which is the Atoma Factory, there's 2 cards, and then they form a action.
Yeah, but like not solo perspective, but multiplayer. I think that you can at least play this game 15 times differently each time before you play it. Like if you
there's a lot of variability.
I think it might depend on what faction that you end up start like, but just use a rule that you get a new faction every time you play and try something new. I kind of enjoy this game. I like it.
I had your collection.
So. Yeah, I had that experience. What, like 40 minutes waiting. Yeah. So that was really like that was not as fun. But I played it many more times, and I had good times and really, really good times with it. Yeah. So
I would say 95% of all the times I played the multiplayer, it's been like 3 minutes difference at the end or whatever. It's like it's very rare that it's such a big difference in the end.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that sense also, I mean, even in a game I mean, like terraforming Mars. I mean, you might not have those 40 minutes at the end of the game.
No, you have
might
every
them
time it's
in the
Andreas'
game.
turn, you have 10
Yeah.
minutes per
So,
generation.
I mean, yeah, so it's you can still have that time difference
Why is
between the
everyone
games. So
insulting me today?
I'm not insulting. I'm just.
We're just telling it as it is. We're just being honest.
I just talked about the comparing the game, and he jumped on you.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So super good game. And as
they just released a new expansion.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that as they just released a new expansion, so I'm looking forward to more plays of this in the future for me. And I did start a solo playthrough series where I did like play with all the different factions, and then the first expansion came out, and it was like, hey, here's 9 more. I can't handle that. So at some point I will continue, and I know I've been saying this for a long time, and I have people even emailing me asking me, hey, when's the next Tapestry playthrough coming? I don't know, but it's coming.
Coming at some point. I mean,
some point in the future.
Yeah. And
I actually have caught up on other games right now that I promised for a long time. So I am doing better. I am trying to catch up. And I have on my table right now.
Yeah, you're doing something now.
I have a little teaser there for an upcoming playthrough. I am doing playthroughs again for this game. Whatever that is. That's secret. Okay, let's move on to number 7. Andreas, are you ready?
Yes, I'm super ready. This is has been on my top 10 since the game was released in 2017. It has been number 5, 3, 2, 6, and now 7. So it's moving down.
Can I guess?
You can have a guess.
Does it have cows?
It has cows.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah,
I remember. I recognize those numbers. That's how good my memory.
So the game is Great Western Trail by Alexander Pfister, released in 2016, I think.
Yeah.
I really like this game. I've been beaten really hard by Mats. Mats is like a Great Western Trail professional.
Yeah, he's a pro.
Yeah, it's like super good. But I haven't really. I don't think I played this game in a year or something. But every time I think about it, I really I want to play
smiling.
This game. I want to play this game again because it's.
The first time you played this with me and Max, you got 130 points when you didn't even know the game.
Yeah, but that is what, like, you played super slow, and if players play the game slow, I can min-max. Like I can play. I know how to get points if I just can spend enough time with the game. I really like the hand management aspect of this game. I really like the tension of like how many tiles you can move. It's like when you start off the game, you move 3 or 4 tiles or places depending
depends on how many you are in the game.
Yeah, and the interaction between the players are when people start building stupid buildings everywhere that just are in your way, and you have to spend movement points
and taxes also, so you have to pay the money.
Yeah, that's even worse. So it's like it has you're faced with difficult decisions all the time. I think it's like you're really close to Kansas to deliver a handful of cows, but maybe you have 4 different cows or something, and you want to have different colors of cows, different what do you say?
Types,
different types. But then, like, you have this, but you can't go to Kansas these times. You have to like land somewhere there, and if you do that, then if you sell a green cow, you get 4 additional coins or something, and you know that you have 4 cards left in your deck, and one of them is a green. Can you redraw the other one? And there's always that, and that I really like that.
That is the exact same feeling as in many deck builders. I mean, it is deck building in this game as well. It's very slow though. It's like a slow
deck building.
It's always every time it's your turn, you always end up with a choice like, do I discard? Can I use a cow or 2 from my hand to do something? And can I redraw cards enough so I get those cows back, the colors? And that's I really like that aspect of the game. And it also has a fairly good expansion. Like I don't have to play with. I think the base game is so good. If someone has set up the game with expansion, let's play that. I don't mind.
This is my number 44. So I still like the game a lot. But I feel for me, this is a game that I had very good experience with the first time we played it, because everyone's just discovering the game, and once people started getting into like a strategy and like playing it the pro way, then I don't want to play anymore. I'm not interested anymore. Like it can go from like, for me, it can go from like super fun to like not interested at all in just like a moment, as soon as certain people are in the game. And I'm not going to mention any names, but
that is when Joseph is the one who is not the pro. When Joseph is a pro at the game, then it's totally fine to play with him. It's like
what I like to do in the game is what you mentioned there. I like to take it slow and experience things and build up and get the perfect hand. But when you play with those like pro players, they are rushing through the thing, and they're like, we're here to experience the game. We're not here to just get a score. Then you can just roll a die and see who won the game.
No, Joseph, you're here to deliver cows.
Exactly. So you want to do that in the most, you want to get all the amusement you can from that. You want to cherish the moment, not just rush through it.
I don't know, but you're a city kid, Joseph, but you know the cows smell, right? So you want to get those out of your hand as soon as possible.
I grew up on a farm. Come on. Oh well. Well,
excellent choice.
It's a good pick anyway.
I expect that we will hear more about Great Western Trail later on.
Yeah, probably. Is it time right now, Mats?
No.
No.
And okay, I'm not saying this is also new on my top 10. So
Great Western Trail.
No.
Your number 7.
My number 7.
Yes.
Sorry.
No.
It's new on my. It was 13 last year. So if you remember what was on my 13th place last year.
I don't listen to your picks.
I think that you. How many games did you play last year? Was it 13? No, sorry.
I don't know. Probably. I mean, it's more than I remember. So it's probably 3.
It might be the Resistance then, if it's one of his worst games ever.
Yeah, this is in the bottom. No, this is actually the Voyages of Marco Polo.
What?
Are you gonna
number 7?
Are you gonna bash him this time, Andreas?
No, like he bashed me when I had it at number 11 this time around. He was like,
that was way too low for him.
Way too low.
Okay, number 7.
Number 7, Voyages of Marco Polo. Enough said.
Do you group that game with Marco Polo 2?
No.
No, that counts in number 6.
They're very different, I think, in terms of how they play.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I mean, this is like saying that. I mean, if you have Caverna and Feast for Odin, those are paired together, basically, because you do the same thing. You do worker placement and you do some building on your cave or whatever.
Are that different?
I think they have different enough to be 2 separate games. Because I think in terms of how you're scoring at the end of the game is very different. And also in terms of how you, or this sort of dice placement is so very different, even though you're using the same dice and you're rolling and all those kind of things, and you have the asymmetric thing, but in terms of how you place them on the worker placement locations is very different.
Maybe it's just a matter of like how we make the list. Like we talked about previously, like if you have Pandemic and then you have Pandemic Fall of Rome, they're 2 different games, so you could rank them separately. Just that I like to clump everything together.
No, this is actually, I think they deserve to be separate.
Yeah,
I think so, at least.
So
but I haven't played enough games, so I need to separate.
Do you own number 2, Marco Polo 2?
No.
This was number 9 last year. It has moved up a little bit, even though I played it less this year than I. But saying I played it less means I still played it more than any other game on my list at all.
Your ranking system doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. This is the game I play the most, and I don't even own it. I never play it in physical form because it's Ultimate Werewolf, which I only play on Zoom, basically. And
only number 7?
It was number 9 last year, and then you guys were like, "What? Is it only number 9?" It's like it's still not a perfect board game. I mean, it's like physical form. I'm not that interested.
7,000 games of it or something.
No, I moderated 200 games. I recently hit the 200 mark.
That is an incredible achievement.
But that's the thing, though. Like these days, I want to moderate. Like I'm not that interested in playing the game anymore, which is a bit weird. But I guess it has to do with the group and everything. Like we end up with this like meta, obviously, and like I feel like, I already been in this discussion with this guy so many times, and I've been trying to convince him of using the same arguments. I get bored of it, so I'd rather moderate, because then I can come up with new ways to make the other guys debate in new ways. And we just recently sort of got a new group, basically, like the Atlanta Werewolf group. They started like playing with us, we started playing with them. So, and they have other ways to play the game as well. So that was interesting. We have like 50 new people that we can play with all of a sudden. So I feel like it's getting a little bit of fresher in my mind last few weeks, and this is the time of the year as well. People are at home during Christmas and all of that. So I'll be playing a lot of Werewolf, or moderating during the upcoming weeks here.
In the middle of the night?
No, that's also a thing. I stopped doing those late nights because I want to have a decent sleeping pattern. So that's why I also play fewer games these days than I used to do. I don't want to stay up all night. So yeah, I'm trying to take care of my health a little bit more. Speaking of the actual game, they just released, or they just came from Kickstarter, the Ultimate Werewolf Ultimate Edition, or Ultimate Extreme Edition, I think this was called, with like new roles and everything from Ted Allspack and Best Games. And there's so many cool roles for this game and how it interacts. And I'm, this is basically game designing for me as well. The last year, it's been game designing process where I take a role that's already in the game and I try to twist it in a fun way to make it more interesting or break the meta. That's something we talk about a lot in our group. Like, we're trying to break the meta because you need to do that when you play with the same people over and over. So yeah, it's really interesting game system as its base. And you can play it in so many different ways. It's so much social. This game's all about social game, right? You play with people. The actual cards and components are not that important. So yeah, I really love it, Ultimate Werewolf. And I look forward to trying this, to moderate this in real life or in person at some point in the future, at a convention or something. That would be interesting. But I think it would be a lot of work as well, because I would have to have like an iPad or whatever to keep track of everything happening.
Yeah,
just to keep you can look at everyone on the screen.
Yeah.
So
there's a convention coming up this spring where we live. So
I mean, on the computer, it's so easy
prepared.
for me to moderate. I can just make notes and click people and drag them around, and it would be it's
harder to drag people around.
It is. I would have to
you can't do that. Like, maybe
you can hire someone in to help you drag people around also.
Who's that guy? He's the guy who like kicks people out of the convention hall.
Okay, Draco can do it.
He's I also played it. I played this a few times when you moderated in Swedish.
Yeah,
it has been a fun experience. I always end up dying first because on these conventions I'm usually the host.
Yeah, that's
people like to kill me for unknown reasons. Yeah, moving on to number 6. It's a game that was released in 2019, and it was number 28 last time. And I did this. I thought that this game will probably end up higher this time around, and it's all the way up to number 6. It's one of the absolute best co-op games there is. So I'm talking about The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. Released in 2019, designed by Thomas Singh. It's a trick-taking game, but you play it together, like you're trying to solve challenges with the players around the table. So you either win or lose together. And I really like co-op games, and I really like trick-taking games, and this is the combination of the two of them. The base game I have actually played the follow-up now once. But we're just talking about the base game, which is the game that I've ranked here, because I played the second game after the deadline.
You're not allowed to bring.
But I can probably mention a little bit about later on.
Sneak in there.
Yeah, maybe. But the base game, I think it's best played on 4 players, because on 3 players, or you can play it on 3 players if you want a tiny bit easier experience than 4 players, because on 3 players you can. Given correct hints, you can like if I say that I only have if I play down if I give a hint with a yellow number 5 and I place the hint that this is my only card, then the other you two can figure out amongst yourself where all the yellow cards are, and that is obviously super easy, or that is very helpful. But if you have 4 players, you're still 3 players who have to figure out. Okay, Andreas only has 1 5 or 1 yellow, and I have 3. Does Mats have any? But that might trigger Mats to also play. I only have number 7, or something like that.
This is my number 33, and I really love this. I would say this game brings out sort of similar feel I feel a little bit the same as I do in some social deduction games. But here we work together. But it's still that I need to get into your brain and like, what like if I give that information, I'm trying to like think, how would Andreas see this? Does he see it the same way I do, or will he think about it in a different way?
When it clicks, you're like, I know what you mean. I know
it's
what
like
you
the
mean.
Mind in a sense.
Yeah, it's amazing. But the mind is barely a game. This is a real game.
Yeah, I agree.
So in the base game, there are 50 missions or something like that, and with increasing difficulty.
Have you gotten through the whole thing?
No, I haven't. I think I played like the first 25 once, 5 times or something. The last one are really, 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 really hard. So I think that you have to play with the same group a lot to do that. But it's a game that works with any type of people. Like most people have actually played a trick-taking game once or twice in their life without even knowing that's a
just with a deck of cards, right?
Yeah, so without knowing that is that type of game. And it's really great. Great.
I played this on Board Game Arena as well and had a good time.
And the new game is even better.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how I'm going to do this next time here. Maybe that will combine
you can
them
clump
or something.
them together.
Yeah, like I played it once and I was like, when I came home, all right, when this is released in Sweden, I would probably sell the first one.
I already sold mine, so
you did that.
I'm also going to get the second one because I think that was so much better.
Yeah,
in that sense. But
you like this as well, right?
Yeah, I do. I really like it.
This has potential to climb even higher for me now, because if the base game is number 6 and I like the other game so much more. It depends on how much I like the other games that are above number 6.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, that was all for me. Number 6, The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9.
Okay, so my number 6 was my number 3 last year.
I know.
So this is no. Terraforming Mars.
I don't know your top 3 any longer.
Wait,
that's the point, right? I'm here to shock and surprise you.
Is your number 6 Terraforming Mars, Mats?
Yes.
Okay, let me find how do you kick people out of Zoom?
That's a wrong answer. Get out of here.
That's
yeah. Explain yourself,
Explain yourself.
Yeah.
Why it's number 6? Because amongst the top 10 games.
Sorry.
We said we shouldn't bash Mats too much.
Yeah, sorry. Like, but no,
I wasn't prepared for that. Like, I thought he was going to say Great Western Trail. Or something.
there is a line. When you cross that, you have to answer now, Mats.
If I don't get kicked out before I tell my top 5, I will tell them right now as well before I get kicked out. And if I'm not on this list the next year, it was great being here.
Oh, please tell us.
Yeah,
why do you
like
6?
Terraforming Mars? Why is it your number 6?
It's probably the game that I play the most on 2 players, and I think it's really, really fun. It's a great game. I know the game. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm really, really good at it for that reason. It's just that I know everything about it. No, I always lose. But the games ahead here are probably where I have more to discover, and that's why they are higher up on the list.
So let me ask you, how do you prefer the game the most these days? Is it on 2, or do you like it on like?
I like a higher player count. I think 3 or 4 are more fun to play. 2 is I play basically once a week on 2 player. So
that's incredible.
And
I know no one who plays Terraforming Mars as much as you do.
Yeah.
No, and it's a great game. I love so many things about it, and we never use turmoil though, but we use the rest of it.
Yeah.
And with the new maps now, it actually got a bit with those you can sort of fan-made maps on these. I know you're making playthroughs of these.
Yeah.
But they are really, really fun because, especially one, I don't know the name of it, but there's one where you can get a colony for 5 mega credits. So you really want to keep that card that can allow you to, or just get
it's the one I have in front of me, Terra Cimmeria.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, because you want to be first player, you want to have a card that you can sort of get something out on to get that cheap colony. That's basically how you build your first turn, etc. And also, I like the different awards and milestones in these games because it also changes up the game a little bit in how you play it. So it's fun. That's I think one of the key things that I'm missing is more maps actually for Terraform Mars, because I think that's one of the fun ways how you can keep it fresh, fairly easy.
What if they like I don't know, like released a new card set? I'm not sure if that is possible. Let's say if they release 200 new cards, like replace 200 cards and add these new cards. Would you would you have that kind of experience?
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree about I played this almost 100 times in more than not 2 players. I hate the game in 2 players. Oh no, hate. I don't play.
That's a strong word.
Yeah,
you don't play much. You play some 2 players, I guess, with your wife, but you're not a 2-player person.
Well,
he plays a lot with Emily.
I play a lot of 2-player games with Emily, but not Terraforming Mars, because I think they're much better games. I think that you play it much because your friend, that's the only game he plays, like the only games.
Yeah, he
really likes that.
Totally in love with this game, and I'm trying to play some other games, but we always end up going back to this one because he likes it, and I don't mind playing it. So
yeah, but so for me, I really share that is the enjoyment of discoveries is not there any longer. As when I play a game, I usually feel like I played this game before, sort of, not exactly the same, but I've seen sort of the same patterns.
But a tip though to you guys is what I've done is, because I play this mainly as a solo game. What I've done is I haven't played I played the digital game over and over and over, but I haven't played with colonies for a year. And so when I started doing it now again, because I'm doing my solo playthroughs, that was rediscovering the whole expansion. Wow, it's so cool! I can go trade with these colonies. If you keep away from it for a while and then you get back to it, I think.
Well, I was going there. So what we've done during this year and last year is to mix, not mix what expansions we're playing. We almost never play with Turmoil because I don't like that. But just play with Venus one time, or just colonies, or next time you play with both, and then you play with none of them,
because it changes the pacing of the game.
I like that. That is my favorite way of playing Terraform Mars now. To don't play the same, don't play everything every time. Mix it up.
That's what I'm coming to, is basically with the maps. Now we have 6 different maps,
or more.
So there's actually quite a lot to switch around here and play differently, because they are changing up the game quite a lot actually in the maps in terms of how you want to play stuff out. So yeah,
I think we're gonna come back to
Terraform Mars. Is a shitty game. It's only my number 6 game. So
no. So let's move on, and we'll come back to Terraform Mars. Don't worry. So my number 6 is the new entry. This is a brand new game on my top 100 list. It went from nowhere into number 6, and this is the game that I want to play the most right now. If I just had to bring out one game with you guys, this will be it. It is because it just got an expansion, but it's Lost Ruins of Arnak. And the expansion is amazing. Like Mats mentioned it before.
Amazing.
I played it. Normally what I do, I can tell my viewers as well.
You're not allowed to talk about it because it was released at SN.
What I normally do, I'm just going to tell you guys. What I normally do is when I film a new game or film a new expansion or whatever, I play it once or twice with Draco, and then I feel ready, and then we start the video, we start recording, and we play it. And most of the times, what I also do is I play. Let's say today I filmed the game Mio, which is a Swedish board game. I use the same characters that when I played with with Draco beforehand, and then I use the same in the actual recording, because then I know the characters, right? So it makes it easier for me when I'm going to record. What I did with Lost Ruins of Arnak expansion is I have this 6 new characters. I have to play them all. So I basically had to spend a whole day just sitting around playing with Draco, trying out everything new. And then I decided, okay, these are 2 of my favorites. Those 2 I'll bring into the video. Or I wanted to show a little bit of different things as well. So
yeah,
this is so good. I mean, this game is made for me because it combines deck building, hand management, worker placement, resource management, and a track that you can climb up on and get different benefits. And the combo wombo. This could, I mean, it could even have gone higher on the list, but number 6 isn't bad, of course, coming from nowhere.
It is apparently, if it's Terraforming Mars, it's you get bantered for that. So
now I'm confused. Wait.
Matt's still sad about.
Okay.
Us asking me why.
We'll come for him after the video recording. Yeah. So, Lost Ruins of Arnak has I will say that I played it solo as well, and it has like a solo campaign and everything that Mats mentioned, and I did enjoy that. But I think I enjoy it mostly multiplayer. I played this on Board Game Arena quite a bit. I played like 40 times on Board Game Arena. And at one point I was actually on the top list leaderboard there because I played it when it just came out. I played so much. Andreas, this is one of those games where I played with Andreas and he's like, oh, well, you're a pro at this game and you're just doing pro tactics. He likes to bounce that back to me because I always complain about people playing games. But this is a game that I actually know very well by now. Well, then the expansion opens up a lot of new stuff for me. So now I feel a bit like discovering, just like we talked about.
Yeah, I just don't understand how you can play, like you play solo, you play solo, you play solo, you play solo. I might play solo when I grow old.
I don't have 3 kids, so I have a lot of time. Yeah. No, but I Lost Ruins of Arnak, and I will have to play the solo campaign again, but playing it with the characters. I'll definitely have to do that. And I will say, so far, I think Explorer is my favorite character. It's so much fun. You can move around. You can go and then you can keep moving around on the. I love that in worker placement games. It's so rare when you can actually. I talked about that in Anachrony. I like that idea, and I like it here as well. Where, really cool game. Lost Ruins of Arnak. Can really recommend it to anyone, really. So. All right, so we're back after a little bio break here, and we had to Andreas had to gather himself, his feelings, because Mats was really, going after him here in the break. And are you okay, Andreas? Can we continue?
Yeah. I'm shocked.
Yeah. Mats was saying mean things about Andreas' games.
No, his games.
He was saying mean things about Uwe.
Oh yeah, that's even worse. Right?
That's even worse.
That's. I mean, if I were to banter on Andreas, it would be fine. But if I'm going after Uwe, Andreas really takes it personal. So, but I was just confirming that I don't have any of Uwe's game on my top 25.
Yeah. Well, let's go with number 5 then.
Yes, my number 5 is the best co-op game there is. And it's obvious for everyone who has followed us. It's Robinson Crusoe: Adventures of the Cursed Island. It's almost 10 years. It has almost been around for 10 years now. 2012 it was released. It was a bit early. I find that amazing. It feels like a more modern game for some reason. Everything about that. So it's designed by Ignacy Cevicek, and I think it also says Joanna Kijanka or something.
Yeah. So do you remember last year, Andreas? I had it as my number 5 as well. And we talked about combined. Yeah, it's not on my number 5 anymore.
Yeah, I know your list. It was leaked.
Was leaked?
You know that? Yeah. I leaked it. Braco leaked it. No, I have no idea where it is, but it hasn't showed up yet, so it will probably show up.
It's not on my list, I think.
Okay, maybe not.
It was my number 14 because that's only barely because I was playing it the first time this year. So this is a really good game. It's probably going to climb for me if we play it more as well, I think.
And we should.
Yeah.
We definitely should.
What I like about Robinson Crusoe is that it is super hard. I really like that. I like games that are hard. I like
co-op games should be hard.
Yeah, I like that when it's more often that you lose or it feels like you're losing. There was like this on GameFound now. I think I regret not backing it. I should have done that maybe to go all in on that with everything. At least forget the all additional contents, but I guess I can get it later on. So I have the base game with the what did you say, Josef? You call it banana
cubes?
Yeah, I have banana cubes. Josef have bananas or something.
Banana, I have actually banana meeples. But I wished I didn't back it either. I was hoping you would, because then you would have a better version than me. So
yeah.
And I didn't back it because I figured you guys both have it, so I don't need it. So
I have all the promos as well, though, like the old promos. But there's new promos with the GameFound thing.
Yeah. I think there was a really good when they had this sort of book, right? It was a new addition to this.
Yeah.
We had all the sort of.
Don't talk about how good the new thing is because we don't have it. You're just making me feel bad.
It's probably coming to retail as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I need to get that.
Robinson Crusoe, it's amazing.
And you played the Voyages of the Beagle, right? The expansion.
Yeah, I have. I've played it twice, and I lost twice. Yeah. I played it on 4 players though, and I think the game is harder the more players you are. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's true, but it feels a lot harder at least. But But you have to you have to embrace the dice and be one with the dice when you roll them. When you have to build.
If you're allowed to roll dice, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. The first time Mats joined us for a playthrough.
We didn't let him roll anything.
He got a curse or something early on in the game, so he was not allowed to.
He had to re-roll his successes, I think.
I made my own dice as well, just so, because I didn't have the game, so I made my own dice, and I didn't get to roll them once.
Well, if you want a good laugh, you can go watch that video.
Yeah.
It's on the channel where we play.
Robinson Crusoe.
Good choice.
I would like to play this now. So should you come over to my place? I will set it up with a.
Oh yeah. We'll just.
I'm there in 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. See you later then. Bye bye.
Yep. Bye bye.
Well, since we're still here, why don't you do your number 5?
Can we speed up so I can go to Andreas? Can I just say my 5 top ones and then get off? Is that okay? No.
Joseph, what is your number 5?
No, it's Mats in between.
It's Mats. So Mats, what's your number 5?
My number 5.
You ignored him this time. You even skipped him this time.
I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry. I will.
No, you're not actually. But anyways, my number 5 was 11 last year, and it's Marco Polo 2. In service of the Khan.
Is it higher up than?
I told he liked this one more.
I mean, it's the same difference as last year. I had 13-11 last year. Now it's 7-5, so it's the same. They're keeping their distance, but they're just moving up the list. And
both of them. That's incredible.
I played them quite a lot on Board Game Arena and also on Yucata. There's Voyage to Marco Polo. Yeah, and these games are actually really okay to play. Not in sync. What is it called? Asynchronized. I don't know. Whatever.
Async.
Because you can do your move, and then you can think, okay, this is what I'm going to do the next turn. So you can sort of plan ahead and have your thinking time a little bit, and it works. So I played quite a lot of both of these games, and like I said, they are different in how they play. And one of the things that I do like about more about the Marco Polo 2 game is that with the add-on of the caravan expansion, where you can place, if you're in a location, you can find the matching location, you place your caravan with some goods in it, and then you can move those goods towards you. And when you meet up, you can either upgrade those goods or sell them for points. So it's a really fun mechanic in how they sort of makes them even more different than they were before. And also I think in the terms of the end game scoring, where you do have locations that you want to visit in the Voyages of Marco Polo 2, but here you have sort of a set collection of different sort of banners that you want to collect. So it's a lot of points. It's very important to travel. Compared to the other game, you really don't have to travel that much. You can score a lot of points anyway. But here it's really important to do some traveling. And like I said, I think the worker placement or these sort of locations are more fun to use here than in the one game compared. But they're both really, really good games. It's just those tiny differences that I prefer for the Marco Polo 2 versus the Voyage of Marco Polo game.
Cool. Yeah, as I said earlier, I want to play this again. So
great games.
I'm gonna make a note.
And nobody has this in physical form, right?
Soon. No.
Oh, okay.
I have the first one. The only one that you need.
Nope. No.
Maybe not.
Just the grumpy old man.
Okay, so my number 5 was my number 4 last time. And this has been on my list ever since I played it, I think, in the top 10. And I think it's going to stay in the top 10, even though I never play it. But it's so good.
Star Wars?
No, Star Wars was my number 9.
Okay.
Civilization.
That's my number 6 to ever. Those have fallen down, way down.
Oh, okay.
You don't know what this is?
No.
How many continents do we have in the world?
7.
Well, yeah, 7.
But
that's correct.
If you are in the 7, what's to discover? Because we all know the 7 continents.
But I think the 7. This is the 7th continent. This is my number 5. I think the I think it takes place in like the 19th century, and I think by then they only counted as 6 because they didn't count like Antarctica as one. I don't know. So we are discovering the 7th. I don't know how that works. This is not a realistic game though, because there's like monsters and stuff. But anyway, Seven Continents is like the ultimate exploration game. I love it in a lot of games. Like, you know, I don't know, Lost Dreams of Arnak has exploration. Like, there's a lot of games that have that as a thing where you flip over a tile or a card or whatever and you discover something. Or Robinson Crusoe has that as well. And this one though, that's what the whole game is about. It's exploring. And then the hand management, it's so strong in this game. This is really a hand management. Or like you have like a deck, and that's your life. So you use the cards, like multi-use cards, something like in board games as well. Here you use the card for so many different ways. Like it's your life, it's items, it's events and actions and upgrades. Yeah, it's so good. Still haven't played the expansion. What goes up must come down, I think it's called, with the air balloon and everything, and then one of them is underground. I need to play those, but it's one of those games where if I bring it out, I want to play the whole thing, and it takes a lot of hours. So it's one of the big campaign games. I think this game is also a solo game in a sense. Like I played this on 2 players, and I did enjoy that as well. But this is really a solo game for me, and I just recently, if you've been following the channel, you've probably seen this. I got this like huge wooden box, basically like a crate with handles and everything. So I organized all my game in that. So I threw away the actual game box. I have this like wooden box for the game instead, with like organizations and this. It's really nice. And when I did that, I had to go through everything and implement all the new cards and go through everything. And I want to play this soon. This is such a cool game. It's one of those games. I think I said this before, as in my top 10 lists as well, that it's one of those games where it's almost like a computer game in a sense, like the feeling of it. Just like, Tainted Grail, I talk about that, or This War of Mine. It's like really, there's not a story in the sense that you read a story text, but you sort of develop a story. Like after you play the game, you have memories about things happening in the game more than, the actual mechanic of the game. That's not so important. So Seven Continents is amazing, but this is one game I don't want to put down. Like we should play this together, because I want to play this solo, which is interesting.
I'm planning to play this with my kids or something.
You should when they're older. Yeah,
and my wife is not that into.
Because you have the whole thing. You have the game and the expansion and everything, right?
Yeah, I have everything. Yeah. So I've been tempted to sell it because you can get a good amount.
Yeah, it's not easy to get.
But I think I'm gonna hold off on that and see if one or a few of my kids want to play it when they are a bit older.
They don't need to be that old. Like this game doesn't really have those. There's nothing like dark in a sense. There's like some magic and some monsters and whatnot, but it's not. Yeah. You could play this, probably fairly soon with your daughter.
That sounds amazing. Maybe I should do that.
I mean, if you help her with like the mechanics of the cards and everything, then I think it's fine. So
yeah, I think that she will figure that out pretty soon. It's just that she just started reading English is even harder, but I can do that. That doesn't matter.
This game has something that I usually am not that good at, but I really enjoy, and there's a lot of puzzles in this game. There's a lot of even has those little, I don't remember what they're called in English really, but like where you compare 2 images and you're trying to find the differences in those 2 images. Yeah. That's one of the puzzles in the game, which is really cool. I think your daughter would appreciate that as well.
Yeah. That sounds correct.
So Seven Continents, my number 5.
All right, moving on to number 4. It's Concordia or Concordia Venus. I grouped them together because I can. Released in 2013 by Mac Gertz. It has been since the first time I played it. It's been on my top 15. So it was number 2 last year, and number 4 now. So there have been some movement in my top games, but I really like this game. I really like the game. This game, I almost said solo, but playing multiplayer, just everyone by themselves. I really like that. I really like to build things in games. I really like that. And I'm not super good at the game. Doesn't really matter. I have a good time just trying to figure out how to build as many houses as possible in the shortest amount of rounds as possible. So I always tend to be the one who triggers the end game by building all the houses. and then someone else wins who knows how to buy cards. And I was like, I had fun, you had fun, sort of. So that's amazing. But the team game is, it's fantastic. I wish more games had team variants.
Castle Burgundy. We're gonna have to try that.
Yeah, but I think that I really like that is 2 versus 2 versus 2.
Yeah,
I think I like that
player,
even. Yeah, I like that even more, because it doesn't, like when you play 2 versus 2, it's going to be like that super tension, and I don't really like that in games. I don't really like that playing one.
That's what I'm saying. You're not really a 2-player guy. You don't like when it's 1 versus 1, and this is the same, but 2 versus 2. So.
Yeah. So I wish that more games had
2 versus 2 versus 2.
Yeah, why not? Like that. That's it's great.
Yeah, I agree on the team play. I played this a lot on the app recently, or on Steam.
Yeah, I saw that on Steam.
Yeah. I actually last night, I think it was 2 nights ago, I actually managed to beat the hard AI, like 3 hard AIs, and I beat them like with a bit. Like I really like. This is an abstract game for me. This is like Kingdom Builder or something, because I'm just looking at, okay, so they can do that and that and that, and I need to do this and that so that I can counter. So I like the game a lot, but it's I don't know. I would like to try different maps. That's the thing. We played. I think most of the times I play this in real life, we played on the big Europe map. I want to try like the Britannia on 2.
I played every map.
Oh,
I think every map is fun. Yeah. This is the only game in my top 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay.
What is
all of the games in my top 25 I own. I don't own this game.
Oh,
I
okay,
have
okay.
to, I have to buy this game.
Yeah.
Mats, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is my last new game. So it's come like a comet this year.
What is it?
It's Grand Austria Hotel.
Nice. Great choice.
I mean, I think we played this in the springtime, about first time we played it, and I was like, I got hooked right away. This was just maybe I won, I don't recall, but it was just a game that in my head it just sort of worked right away. I got the feeling for it. Okay, I like this game right away, and then I played it with us sometimes, not with you, Joseph, but
I never played this. No.
And also, once again, I played it on the Yukata, like a asynchron game, and I think it's really, really nice, because I think this game is super tight. There's so much things going on that you need to consider, especially with the Emperor track. I think I love that in this game, where you have to push the Emperor track to make sure that you don't suffer the penalty and get the bonus. So you can't forget about that aspect. At the same time, you want to develop and you want to gather resources and you want to have all. I mean, it's such a fantastic game in that sense. I think it's going to grow on me even more. And
it's just outside my top 25.
Yeah,
I think you like it a bit more than I do.
I do. It's my number 4, so I think I do. But
I wonder if I would get hooked as well. I don't know.
I think that you would enjoy the game.
Yeah,
I really
it's
think
a lot of. If you find a combo wombo here as well, I think it's very satisfying. Those turns when you get those.
Yeah.
Okay, I serve this guest. I get to move that one in there, and then I can build this room, and I can move that guy up there, and then I can collect this guy. And it's so
many
much
cool combos that you can get. So the combos are like, so there's a huge deck of guests, like a guest deck, and like depending on which guests that you track to your hotel and in which order you like serve them or complete their needs, you can make your own combos, and the combos will be sort of different every time. And alongside that, you have all of the staff or something like that. And they can give and they give you either like one-time bonuses or permanent effects and such. And then you can, so every time it's a unique type of puzzle, sort of. So I played it 5 or 6 times. I think it's very, very good.
I need to play this.
I probably played about 15, 20 times now. I think in asynchron, I think it's great because, like you said, and I forgot to mention what I think most is like you on the sort of the action selection is based on die. So you roll a number die depending on the number of players, and you say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you put all the die in that value in the same row. So that sort of decides the strength of that action this round. So you pick a die and then you get to do an action in that strength of a number of die, and then you can also pass if you want to see or re-roll the die. It's a lot of good things in terms of being tactical in this game as well, that I really, really like. So
yeah, it's a clever use of dice. Like it's not your own dice, so like you can't roll poorly because everyone has the same roll. So it's like deal with it. Obviously, some rolls will be better for some players at certain points in time.
And I also think the turn order thing is, I'm talking a lot about this game now, but it's fantastic. And the first player is also always the last player. And the second player is the second last player. Then you have the middle player is doing 2 turns in a row, which means that you can actually really plan. And say, okay, I want to do this now, then I can do this in my next round, and sort of, it's great.
Yeah, that's super interesting. The snake turn order in each round, and the turn order will like move on.
Should I write this down on our playlist?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, do that.
That would be super long now. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I wonder if we will complete 10% of it next time, because there will be new games.
We're not allowed to play any other games until we finish the list, though. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So my number 4 is a game that Draco's really good at, and he's an expert at this game. He usually likes to play as the dog, though, which is
Draco's Adventure.
Weird. No, he's good at that one too. No, my number 4 has already been mentioned by both of you. So there's a 3-way crossover here for Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah,
and we already talked about this a lot, and you already said most of the. Now I will say though that it is a bit weird. When I did my list, I was thinking about this, that I have the Voyages of the Beagle, the expansion, on my shelf, and I haven't played it. And I haven't picked up the Mystery Tales, which is another expansion. So it's kind of weird. Like, how can this be my number 4 game, and I haven't, picked up and played the expansions? I don't know why, to be honest.
That is amazing, right? We have so much things to look forward.
I guess that's true, and it says something. If you flip that thought, then that means that I'm still enjoying the base game so much. Like that means that it's so good. And I still feel like I haven't done everything in the base game. I played like all the scenarios, but I haven't completed all the scenarios. Like beating, I don't know if you can beat the King Kong scenario. Can you do that?
Mats is on repeat. No, I don't think
the base game.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Mats is on repeat. I like. So if we were to say something bad about the game, maybe because we praise it now.
Yeah, we have actually.
Yeah. So I think what might be hard is to get into the game. Like
I don't agree.
I'm a newbie here, but it depends also on the group. If you're playing with other experienced players, it's not that hard.
Yes.
But what people always told me is that it's so hard. I think it's super easy. I never lost one game so far.
He only played the first scenario, so
I played 2.
Have you played?
And I played with you guys. I'm playing with 2 pros.
Well, we're pros.
That's what I'm going to say.
Andreas, we need to bring him onto the King Kong scenario.
Yeah.
So he gets to feel how it is to be beaten, or
and he can make
when the King Kong eats your cameraman and your actress and everything like that.
But I mean, if there I think that we have actually inspired a few people on this channel to actually, like the viewers on this channel, to actually buy this game.
That's
true.
I
really hope that they find a game as good as we do, because if no one else knows the game, it might be really hard, at least from the earlier copies of the game. Because super bad.
The rulebook is like the one I have like the 3rd edition, and that's a decent rulebook. That's not too bad, but the first one was really problematic.
And
you can also watch the videos and there's how to play.
And if you have bought it, watch the video.
I think we're ready for number 3 now. Top 3. This must be
good.
Top
3. So these games are actually pretty good. So my number 3 is Underwater Cities by Vladimir Suchy, released in 2018.
I knew it was going to show up here.
It was number 3 last time. It's still number 3. I think this game is super good, amazing. This is one of the games that you really need to have the expansion. I think so. I think the base game is all right, but the expansion, the base game might be top 20, top 25, but the expansion makes it sort of perfect. So it's a cool twist on worker placement with hand management. So some people compare it to Terraforming Mars. Not really sure.
I think that's what I don't like that comparison.
Yeah, it's strange.
It's always happens. It's the same we had this year or last year, sort of, where Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak came out, and they both had similar mechanics, and then all people just compare them all the time on the forums. I don't get that. Like, it's very different games, and the same goes for Terraforming Mars and Underwater Cities, I think.
Like Underwater Cities has a fixed amount of rounds.
Yeah, and
Terraforming Mars do not have.
And they have worker placement. You don't have worker placement in Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
You do have a lot of cards, but the cards are stacked.
They're handled differently.
In phases.
You do have a lot of cards in Dominion as well. So
that's true.
And now we lost all the viewers. Like, people are like, oh, they don't like comparison.
Okay, yeah, but Underwater Cities.
No,
it's great. It's really like.
It's really fun what you do in the game. That's my take.
Yeah, and it's when you. It's really fun to look back at when you play the game to see what you've done, because it's like it feels like you've accomplished so many things. And I really like the tension every time when it's your turn. So you have a very small hand size. You can only have 3 cards unless you find other cards that can increase it, but that's very hard to find. And the worker placement spots and the cards come in 3 different colors. So if you want to do some action at the red spot, you also want to play a red card at the same time, because you can play any card, but if you play the red card, you can use it as well. And sometimes you don't have that, and that makes it super hard. Or it's like, oh, I really want that, and what should I do? And
I can't remember many times where I went to a spot if I didn't have the right type of card in my hand. Like, I just think like, okay, I'll do this now and then I'll go to the red spot later, because I don't want to do that. I want to go.
And that's exactly how I work with my mind works. I like, okay, I'll find another way.
Yeah,
because it's like,
I guess I remember last time I played this was with you and Emily, I think, and we I don't think Mats was there, and we got to, and I got this combo where like if I played a wrong color, then I got some stuff out of that. So I ended up in a situation where I wanted to play like the wrong color because I got more stuff.
That's interesting.
It was very strange.
And Emily had a combination where there's a spot where it's like always available. You can always place your thing there. And when she played it there, she got some resources and everything. Which she was like, all right, I'm going to place my thing here and get some resources and cards. So like that action spot is the best thing the best place in the game almost now.
Yeah. This was my 31. And I remember in that segment when I talked about it, what I really wanted to point out that I really love about the game, and I think you agree on that as well, is the whole that when the game starts, it's like open, like sandbox mode, and then you choose your own end game scoring by depending on what cards you pick up. That's amazing, I think.
It's excellent, and that part is also interesting in strategy wise, because there are like six end game cards are open. And your first action could be to take one of those. But if you do that, you will lose one very important action.
Oh yeah, it's a really good game, and I think in terms of how tight it becomes, especially on 4 players, it's super tight.
Yeah, I think I like it the best with 4 players.
Yeah, me too.
It's a long game, but I think it's even better on 4 players. It's the tension on the workplace and spots as well.
I'll take those hours because it's such a good game. So yeah, good choice.
Well, speaking of good games, Mats, do you have any good?
My number 3. I have really good games left. So my number 3 is my number 1 last year. So it's fallen down. This has been mentioned already by Andreas. So it's the Great Western Trail.
Yeah, that surprises me.
Me too. But I mean, it's sort of when we started playing this online more than physical, this is a game that I can't, and I can play one game, but we played several games at one time, and this really screwed me up. Yeah, asynchronous.
Many games simultaneously.
Many games simultaneously, and I think that really killed the game for me. And that's why I got fed up with it, because it's not the kind of game, at least in my mind. I'm not that smart. I know other guys can do several games at a time, but I think for me, I got confused in the game.
Do you want to try that in real life? Like you can bring your copy.
I don't understand why you guys play this as like that's just breaking board games. Like, what's the fun in?
You guys don't involve
You play
me.
games like that as well.
I don't play Great Western Trail online.
I don't
seems
do
absurd.
either. I stopped it because one of the key things here is to keep track of what everyone else is doing. And I mean, that's what I'm saying, that maybe with some other games, it's not that important. But here it's super important to know what other people are doing. And that's why I think it's sort of fallen down for me, because those experiences I had online was not good for me and for the game. Because I love to play this game physically around the table where I can see what everybody's doing. It's probably my favorite game. But as it is during the last year, it's fallen down due to not being perfect for online gaming, I would say.
I must say, before you go on, like before we did this list, like 2 weeks ago or something, I talked to you, and you were like complaining that you thought I would have games in my list that I play a lot online. But so far, the 3 last games you mentioned, you all said you play them online. So
yeah.
So don't
It's
bash
to
me.
Play games.
When you were like, "Oh, you only play Werewolf online. You can't have that on the top list."
Fight! I'm
gonna roll over here.
Like
I am right on this one.
Game time.
Well, it's a different kind of, because I mean, what you're doing, I'm playing a board game online. You're playing a social induction game online. Yeah.
Joseph will edit this part out. You will never hear this.
No. This is cool. Okay, so anyway, Great Western Trail. We heard all about it. What's intriguing me right now is to try the new version, second edition. There's some changes into the game board and how sort of the Kansas City drop off, where you got 6 coins, now you only get 4. So that's takes the strength of that, and also in terms of the sort of the before was the Native American route along the teepees. Now it changed to now it's all positive, so it's probably going to change the game a little bit too, and how you play
amazing.
that.
I'm really
so looking forward to the second edition.
I'm definitely going to get the new one, and I do want to bring it to the table.
Then we should play it us 3, relaxed, no stress, no proness, just enjoy. Then it will be
proness.
So if Andreas starts like, oh, I'm gonna build a building here, so it costs extra space for, then I'm gonna be like, okay, you're out. Like this is family friendly, relaxed gaming.
If I start to do that, I'm probably the worst among us in this game. And I'm pretty good at games normally, but you guys are much better than me in this game. So I'm the underdog here. I can do whatever I want.
Should I go to my number 3, Mats?
Yes, please.
Okay. My number 3 has been previously been my, it was number 3 last year. It has been number 1 and it has been number 2. And it's never been below 3 though. And I think maybe at some time it will drop below 3, but I don't think so.
You mean like spot 6?
I think it would never do that. This is Terraforming Mars, number 3. And it seems to me that I have it in the correct spot, because that's what Board Game Geek has as well, right?
Number 4, right?
Is it number 4? Oh, I'm better. Okay. Well, maybe it will drop next year then, because I'm really, mainstream. I'm trying to adapt to what the people like.
I actually looked at the ranking today. I think that the expansion's Prelude is ranked higher than the base game now.
That makes sense, though. Yeah, I know. I remember talking to Jacob Frixelius, the designer, about this. That he felt like a little bit upset that people said, because I said in one of my videos, I said that I will never play the game without Prelude, and he was a little bit upset about that. He's like, well, that's like saying that the base game is not good anymore. But I stand by that point. I never will play the base game.
Base game is not bad, but when you have something that makes the game better,
and it's like
use it.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, like kids. If you start giving your kids candy, like then they're gonna get a sugar, urge, and they're gonna want sugar. Like if you never give them candies, then like if you give me Prelude and I experience that, then don't tell me to go back and not play Prelude. Like I tasted the good stuff.
Prelude is sugar, and Terraforming Mars.
But the Prelude is basically what the base game should have had from the beginning. Yeah. Same thing.
I think that's what
Underwater Cities.
Say that. Yeah.
Because also have the expansion or elements of the expansion from the get-go, because it makes you get started quicker.
If they ever were to release a second edition of it, the Prelude should be included, at least in the game as a module. Like replace that corporate era.
And as we talked about earlier here in this video about like we would like new cards, we would like new maps and so on. I have a feeling that this, there might be new things coming for this game in the future in some way. I hope so, at least, that there's like some follow-up game or something that brings new life to the game, because I love the game system and everything. So.
Yeah, they can just drop new maps. I think that's. We talked about that before, so we don't have to talk about it.
Or a Terraforming Mars 2, like we have with Voyages and Marco Polo. Maybe we'll get a second game sometime in the future.
But Dice Game seems promising, though.
Yeah,
Dice Game is amazing.
That's really good.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Like a few weeks ago on the convention.
It's actually updated a lot since we played.
I know. Yeah, I went over the updates, and I made. This is a bit weird. I don't know if people watching this, if you missed this, but I have a playthrough of the Dice Game on the channel. Actually, two, one solo and one 2-player, and they haven't done that well, and I don't understand why, because this should be hot, right? This is the next sort of in line. I mean, of course, we had the Ares expedition, and I don't think we should get too deeply into that, but I think I was disappointed. I think all three of us were disappointed. So, but the Dice Game, I don't think will disappoint me. I think that one will live up to what I expect from it. So I really look forward to that. But then I will also say, Mats mentioned this briefly, but I want to point this out more, that if you play Terraforming Mars a bunch, now you can get the and this is not a paid thing here, but you can get the fan-made playmats. There's 3 of them that Arndt made. I forgot his last name now. But he made these fan-made playmats, and they are free. Like, the design is free, and you can download that and get it printed somewhere, or you can go to Fricks Games these days, to fricksgames.se, and you can buy the actual playmats. And I haven't played the multiplayer yet, so I don't know, like, there's new milestones and awards and everything. But I mean, just for solo, it's just so uplifting for me. First of all, getting a fresh map is fun, even for solo. But the fact that you can just roll them out on your table. It's you have everything there. You have the colony spaces. You have Venus there. It's so good. I love playmats in general. So I think this is so cool, and I think that's also, like we talked about with new maps or whatever. That's also a way that game can expand by the fan community, by fans making new stuff for it. And I really appreciate that the designers are like taking that on and like saying, yeah, nice, we bring this into our web shop instead of being, I like that they are appreciating the fan-made contributions to the game, because this is a game that could expand even more. I mean, in theory, there's no. I think Turmoil was a little bit of a letdown for me, at least. I think you guys feel the same, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not.
It makes.
I don't play with Turmoil at all.
I think it sort of changes the economy of the game in such strange ways.
It just slows the game down, and I don't like. I'm
not sure if I agree that it slows the game down, but it's maybe like you have this additional phase, but also it's like you get a huge injection of cash, and maybe it slows the game down because then you have cash to do other things. Maybe it's what's happening, but
but the upkeep, the actual handling, I think that's what Matt's referring to. Like, you have to do this every round and handle this thing.
I don't really mind that each round you do something else for a few minutes. That doesn't really bother me. I just think that the injection of, like, so if the Unity party is selected, then you count all the tags, Venus tags and space tags or whatever, or something like that, and then you get, I had 8 or I had 15 additional 8 or 15 coins. That is absurd.
and my main problem is the event deck. Actually, I like it as an idea, but it makes it a lot swingier. Now I'm talking mostly about soloing here, but like in a solo game where it's really tight, and a few decisions could make or break if you complete the whole terraforming, and then you get like event cards. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, this event was really bad for me, or this event was really good for me, and I don't like that. Even if, and it's not that I mind losing, but I don't like winning that way either. I like that it's my planning and my mathematical thinking and everything, and my plans for like, I have 6 more generations, I can do this and this and this, and that's why I won. Not that like, I got lucky in the end, I got a good event. So I prefer, I don't play with Turmoil when I do my playthroughs now, and I don't know if I'm gonna return to Turmoil for soloing. I'm not sure at all. So that's Terraforming Mars anyway, number 3. Super good game, obviously, and I think we're gonna hear more of it soon. So what's your number 2, Andreas?
My number 2 is Terraforming Mars. designed by Jacob Frixelius.
I just gambled. I had no idea. Like, how could I gamble?
Released in 2016. It used to be my number one, and my number one, and my number one, and my number one, and number 4. So if we talk about other things, then like I have had.
You need to find some other thing. To
like
now.
I have like okay. So I'm a part of this Facebook Messenger group. So somewhere during the pandemic, I think like a year ago or something, people were like, we should play Terraforming Mars on Steam or whatever it is. And I joined in, I played a few games. I'm pretty good at a game. So I like won some games and came second, etc. But these guys have kept on playing and they are still playing. So every week it's like they play 1 to 3 games. Like
they play online or?
Yeah, they play online.
On Steam.
Yeah, and it seems like they're getting really good at it. So I would really like to play against them, but in real life.
Yeah.
That was something.
But that's only preview then. That's the thing.
Yeah. And other cool things that Terraforming Mars, I think that is one of the games that I have learned as I have taught so many different people this game. I think that was the first time I met you, Mats. I taught you Terraforming Mars.
Yes. It was amazing.
It was amazing. It's a hard teach, really. Place like if you think about it, it's a lot of things. But if you have played it 70 times or 80 times that I did back then, it was like I know this backwards. I can read through I can tell you the rules. Like you can wake up in the middle of the night.
It's an easy game to learn, though, I would say, compared to a lot of other games, because everything you need to know is on the cards. Like, what do the card do? Well, you can read it.
Yeah.
There's no like, this icon that you have to look up in the rule book over here. So
no, I mean the rules are on the cards. When you play the card in front really of you, you know that this is a new rule I have for me.
Yeah. I think that's it's easy. I agree. Really other fun memories is like I've been part of Joseph's quiz show. I was on the quiz with, was it
Jonathan
Frixelius? Yeah. I didn't win that, but I almost had him.
I was so happy that he beat you. I was so worried that you were gonna beat him, and I was so happy at the end there that you.
But that was fun.
Because we would never hear the end of it if you beat one of the Frixelius.
That is true. Other fun things, I have organized the Swedish Championship in Terraforming Mars once. That was an amazing experience. It was 2 years ago, just before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
In Trollhättan, where you live, Mats. 64 players arrived from all over Sweden, and also I think someone flew in from the United States, and there were some guy from Italy, and that was crazy. So, and we streamed it on Twitch. Unfortunately, due to some technical errors,
some noobiness,
they were not stored.
I was not in charge of that.
So I was not playing, obviously, because I was one of the organizers. But I was in the commentary booth from 9 in the morning until 1 a.m. in the night or something. That was a long session. It was really fun.
Yeah. I learned from that day that I went in as a participant and was gonna play, but I realized I much rather just sit and comment. Like that's my role. Like I shouldn't.
Yeah, but that was great. It was so much fun.
It was fun playing as well, though. But I had an issue with. We talked about this with the social deduction games, where like, oh, you're the host, well, everyone's gonna go after you. This was the first time I experienced sitting down at the game table and people I never seen before were like, oh, well, you made like so many videos about this game, so we have to go after you. Like everyone used their asteroids on me, and everyone like going after me because they thought I was a pro at the game, and I'm like, no, like sure I played a lot solo, but I'm not that good at the game multiplayer. I don't win that often. So, well, now you were sitting in the commentary booth, so that's why I had a chance to win. But...
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Terraforming Mars. Yeah, great game.
Good game.
So it was 6. There you go. 6, 3, 3, and 2.
Yeah.
So you're the biggest fanboy still.
I am.
Yeah.
It's okay. So, Mats,
what's my number 2? This is the only game that still is in number 2 from last year as well. So it's the same place, same game. It is Brass Birmingham.
Has the game gotten any better since last year?
It's kept its position, I think.
No, but I mean the actual board game. Is it more fun than it was. Sorry, I'm not gonna bash you, Mats. Just tell us why you like brass.
I mean, we talked about it. You had this on your list last video, right?
I think
Andreas?
it's 2022.
And I think one of the funny thing here, or the three key things that I really like about this game. Well, you probably know by now, I like maps. I like building on maps. I think that's pretty cool. And here, how you build first up in the canal area, and then after you score that, you remove a lot of the stuff, especially all the connections, but then might have some buildings left.
Almost everything.
Yeah. And then you sort of build up the rail area. So you start building your network again. And then, I mean, just that is worth.
It's like 2 mini games, right? Or 2 games.
Exactly, 2 games. And then you have the bidding. Like we said, if you spend a lot of money, you're probably going to be the last one. But if you spend a small amount of money, you can probably do a double turn. You can sort of set tempo for how you want to play the game, which I think is really interesting.
It's not really bidding, though.
No, but spending. I said spending. I think I said spending.
Spending is,
yeah.
Sorry.
You know what he means, Sanjay.
Yeah. You just need to bash me. Okay, it's fine. But one thing that I did discover now, and I think that's, I think this is strictly a 4-player game for me now, since we started playing it, since we played it on 4 players the first time. Because this is the only time you open up the entire map.
Yeah.
Otherwise, 1/4 is basically closed off, which really is poor game design, I would say. Because you can easily make a different map instead to keep the whole map open instead of just removing the upper right corner of the map.
I really agree on that. I remember back in the days I played a lot of Power Grid. I haven't done that in years, but I liked that a lot, like 8-9 years ago. And that had the same thing, like, oh, so you're only so many players, then you just don't go there. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, so many games now, but this is not an old game. It's a redesign, I think, in some way. And this is something they should have looked at when they did the remake and the re-release of the game. They should have looked at that in a better way, I think, in terms of
Birmingham is a new game. Like, it was on that.
Lancashire is the old classic, but so this Birmingham should have been. Yeah, but anyways, I mean, I think the money is tight. There's a lot of area connection control that I think is super nice in trying to connect the biggest cities where they have the most points in terms of scoring your connections. I think the whole aspect of that, I think, is so much fun, and it's so much fun to sit there and puzzle in your head and trying to figure out to get the best connections, and also at the same time trying to develop your buildings also to influence the market where you have iron and coal, right? You want to time that to sell and get the money, and so it's a lot of things in tempo wise that you need to pay attention to in the game, which I think is super exciting.
I think you're the biggest out of us 3. I think you're the one that likes area control the most, like all that kind of.
Yeah, maybe.
I just have to mention that the first time or the second, I think it was the first time I played this game. I don't think either of you was playing, but played with Keith at least, and we ended up in a situation where we had to look up into the rules. What happens if there are no more cubes, like I think it was coal or something, and then we looked in, like, there was nothing in the rule book, and we looked and we found a thread. It's like, you are playing the game wrong. Not wrong in the sense that you are playing the wrong rules, but you're playing the game wrong. If you end up in this state, you should be doing something else on the more. So we're like, okay. So it was like everyone was building, I think, like coal factories or something. And then the coal supply ran out. What happens? That shouldn't happen, because when someone builds a coal, and other people will start using that. And then the economy is like,
so you all built your separate factory?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, now I see what you mean.
And it was a thread with one of the designers, like, you're probably playing the game wrong. Like, you don't know what you're doing. That was really fun.
Yeah.
So we had to like restart. But all right, let's not do this again. That was fun.
Anyways, Brass Birmingham, I think it's it's a solid game. I think it's definitely one of my favorite games to play.
Yeah,
it's my number 2, and it's was number 2 last year as well. It's the best 2-player game out there. 7 Wonders Duel is my number 2, and last year we were like excited because Agora just came out, the expansion. I still like Agora, but these days I really like playing with both expansions. Really enjoy it. It's on BGA now as well with both the expansions. It's one of those, like, if I have like 30 minutes like waiting for an Ultimate Werewolf game to start or whatever, like I need to just spend a little time, I'll just, let's go to Board Game Arena, play a game. Just enjoy it so much. There's always, like, I never had a boring game of this. Like, even if I lose big, like, I can go back and see that why I lost and I did something, like I missed something or whatever. Like, I like to gamble in this game, though, I must say, especially when I play on BGA against random people. I like to be like, okay, so I'm just going to skip the Senate this time, maybe, more or less. And then I see that they're building up, and I'm like trying to calculate in my head, like, okay, how long can I let this go on before I intervene? And then I like to gamble a little bit because I might see that I can make it on military before they can reach the Senate goal. And I might be wrong on that calculation, and they win that way. So I had some interesting discussions actually with people in the chat on BGA after the game, where I was like, I always write like good game, well played or whatever. And I had some interesting chats there with people that were like high ranked, and they were like, oh wow, how did you dare to do that way or whatever. It's such a good game. I prefer to play this in physical form if I can, of course, like with a lot of games. This one, I like handling the cards. I like the draft out on the actual, like having the actual card. I like the way me and Mats, we made this a video where we played over Zoom, but we had our separate. Mats had a game on his table and a camera, and I had the game on my table and a camera, and we played, and it actually worked.
It was really fun.
It was really fun. Like I really enjoy that. Like these days we can obviously meet up, but if we ever end up in a lockdown again, that's why I want to play with you, Mats, because that worked really good.
We're gonna need to play it on the table soon. I'm gonna jog that down because we leave Andreas out of this.
Don't bring Andreas.
He's not that fun to play with anyway. So
Andreas had it very far down on his list as well. So
19.
Yeah, that's very far down. What did you
mine
have?
Is actually,
you had like 22 or whatever.
I'm going to. No, it's 21.
I'd rather play with Andreas then. Because...
Yeah, because you more likely to win over me though, because.
That's true.
Yeah, so you should play with me. But I am the reigning champion here in Trolleton, I think.
You are. You're really good at this game, actually, Mats, I would say. But and that's why I bashed you guys when you were like, oh, number 19. And I'm like, are you crazy? This is top 3 material. Like, you can't.
It has been number 19 twice in a row.
Yeah, but I think this is, like you said, the new Agora expansion adds one more game one more way to play the game and win the game by taking control in the Senate. And I think this is, like I say, it's super fun to sort of discover this game and how you can play it in different strategies, and also, like you say, gambling a little bit and seeing if can I do that before he does that, or she or he, whatever. But I think it's a great game.
I mean, maybe it's that I'm more of a 2-player person. Like I enjoy 2-player games more in that sense, like competitive, like ones like we fight each other more than you guys do. Maybe, I don't know. I think in Keyforge, and I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with that. Because I play Seven Wonders Duel. I don't play like we talked about with Great Western Trail, where I sit around and want to have a good time and relax and chat. Like Seven Wonders Duel that's I'm gonna win. Like that's fully focused. Because when it's just 2-player game, all of a sudden I become competitive. I don't know why, but it feels more okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2, Seven Wonders Duel, and amazing game.
Yeah. Are we coming into number 1s now?
Is it number 1 time?
No.
Are we ready though? Are we ready? I don't know.
The good games start now. Or
Draco's excited. He's been wondering so much. What is Andreas?
I know Andreas number 1. I know you're number 1, Josef, and I know my number 1. So I know it's no surprise for me. So we can skip this number 1.
Okay.
We're not doing the list for us.
Oh,
yeah. Not only for us.
Is someone watching?
Yeah, behind you, Mats.
And so my number 1 was my favorite game back in 2016. And then it moved down. It was number 27 last year, but it has had a pretty good revival this year.
Resurgence.
Resurgence, thank you. That is the better word for it. So my favorite game right now is Terra Mystica, released in 2012. Designed by Jens Trögemüller and Helse Ostertag. I play this a bunch on Board Game Arena, but I also play this 5 times, I think, in real life during last year. So I also played it. I've experienced that as well, and the game is amazing in real life. It's very good when playing on Board Game Arena asynchronously as well. It's one of the few games I end up thinking about the game outside, like between the games, like what can I improve on, etc. It's one of the games that
you play the game competitive, right? Like
it has turned out to be that way for me. So I don't think that we should play together. Maybe we could do that, but I'm not. That is.
But it's kind of like when I was on the top of my Kingdom Builder career, like playing it with you, like just casual game night, that would feel weird. Like,
yeah, maybe. So,
did you have a Kingdom Builder career?
Well, haven't I told you?
No. Sorry.
That is for the next episode, or that is maybe is number 1. I have no idea. But Terra Mystica, I really enjoy the base game of this. It has 2 expansions.
Have you played both of them?
Yeah, I have played both of them.
Okay, I haven't played the ship, whatever it's called.
To Merchants of the Sea, I think it's called. That's quite fun.
It adds more movement,
we could play that casually, because that I have no idea what to do when I play with that expansion. Like there is.
Do you play that online as well, or?
No, I haven't. I have played it twice around the table. It's but it adds a way for you to send boats around, like actual boats.
Okay.
And then you can like move them into other players' houses, and depending on what type of house, then you get resources.
You're like trading something.
Yeah. So it's and the owner gets some power rotation, which is good for them as well. So yeah, this is.
I knew this was gonna be your number 1 because you talked so much about it this year, and I had a feeling it was gonna beat Terraforming Mars as well. So
yeah. So I think that this game will probably be ranked up high now for a long time. Not saying that it will be number 1 for all time, but it's going to be. So I'm actually playing a tournament right now. It's the Swedish tournament. So I'm in the semifinals. I think I'm not going to win this though. I think it's 5 players. So it's funny. Terra Mystica is very different also depending on how many players you are. So I really prefer to play with 4 or 5. Playing with five players is it takes a long time.
It doesn't scale. Like that's why they made, in Gaia Project they made it so you can scale to 2. And like Terra Mystica is the same map. Like it doesn't scale to.
So, but game wise, what I like with Terra Mystica is that it's so important. Like everything that all the things that you do is so important. But what I've learned by playing more, like a lot of games, is that like. When I played the game initially, I was just building an engine, and I had fun building stuff and doing things, but I didn't get much points. And then I started to learn, okay, I need to focus on the round end goals.
Yeah.
Try to figure out how to, like if in round 2 you get additional points for building large structures, then do that, etc., etc. Yeah. But now you have to also. What I've learned now is that there are in each round when you pass out, you will get a bonus for next round, and some of these might be when you pass out, then you will get additional points, and that's another level of strategy. And you try to, and sometimes you have to make really, really hard decisions on. All right, I have resources left. I should really build things, but this bonus thing is available to me now. So if I pass, I will get that, and it will give me an extra 7 points next round. And that is, I
mean, back when I played this a lot, I remember back then hearing about this, like seeing on forums and everything, these like competitive groups. That back then I felt like I could get into this, and I could probably be good at it, enjoy it, and all that. And I was pretty good at it, like when I played with casual groups. But there was like a barrier for me, and I think that barrier broke a little bit with Keyforge. But before I played Keyforge, I was like really against playing competitive board gaming. But I can see. I mean, I would probably play it that way though.
Sure, why?
Well, it's a good pick. I can't argue with this one. Terra Mystica is a great game, and I think it's been up on my top 10. So.
Yeah, it's a good game, but
it's not your favorite game, Mats?
No.
What is your favorite game then?
That is a good question.
I know what it is.
Yeah, me too.
Tell us.
Good, huh? No, it was my number 4 last year, so it's climbed up from the number 4 seat up to number 1, and I think it's been mentioned by Andreas already, so it's Underwater Cities. That's climbed up to my number 1. And I mean, we touched already on a lot of the things, but I do just, I mean, the hand management it's amazing, right, in this game, and the worker placement and how tight it is when you're 4 players, even 3 players, it's still tight, but 4 players, it's super tight. It makes the games really, really good, and trying to find and puzzle out building on your network of tunnels and domes and production and everything. It's like when you find that you spend everything in one round, then you do production and you build it up again, and then you can spend everything again. I think it's just so satisfying in trying to optimize and finding your to build points. And there's so many things you do want to build different production units around your domes, but at the same time you don't, because you want to have the higher production of building 2 of each at the locations, etc. So it's a lot of good things in this game that I think in terms of how you want to play the game and how to optimize your score. I'm not really good at it. I think, Andreas, you're still beating me on this one, but it doesn't really matter. This is a game where I don't have to win. If I have a good time playing it, I will be happy.
It's my type of game. I really like it.
Yeah,
but it's number 3 for me. But it's like my number 3. I think that my number 3 are actually like those 3, and then to number 4, it's a little bit of a gap. Even though my number 4 is really good as well, but I think that number 3, and they might change.
It can be different in your mind
Small
between
things,
1, 2, and 3, and so on. Like how big the gap is in between, of course.
I mean, I can have a Terraforming Mars game that is boring, actually, because I see, if I'm playing a 2-player game, I can see the other guys drawing much better cards than I am, so more lucky in that sense, where I don't find anything that I need. But in Underwater Cities, you always find a way to. So I think that's what sets it apart.
I never had a boring game of Underwater Cities.
No. So it's a really. It's a great game. I think it's.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm on it.
Well, it's not as good as my number 1. My number 1 has actually dropped a little bit for me since last year. It was number 1 last year, but it has dropped down
to number 1.
To number 1.
No, but in the gap thing. So because and the reason it has, I don't know. I have some complaints anyway. I didn't have any complaints a year ago.
Mention the game now.
It's Gloomhaven, obviously.
Thank you.
Gloomhaven is the best game ever. And Board Game Geek agrees with me. Like, I'm in sync with the Board Game Geek. So obviously I'm in the right here.
I have never played Gloomhaven.
The thing is, though, I'm 100% sure that if you spent the same amount of time on Gloomhaven as I have, you would have it as your number 1. Like,
I would probably
you would love it. Like the hand management and it's so good. Like it's such a good game. The thing, though, the complaint, I will say the complaint, because I don't need to talk about how much I love Gloomhaven. Everyone knows that. But the complaint is because I played through the whole thing during October and November. I streamed the whole campaign because they released the campaign for the Steam game, so I streamed the whole thing. And then I realized, like, what? And then I was like, why did I remember? Because like 4 years ago or 5 years ago when it came out, I played the whole game solo on the table, and then I was like thinking to myself this November, like, why did I remember this game had such a good story? Like, it doesn't have a good story. Like, I don't know why I remember that. That's not true. Like, the story is so fragmented. Like, there's good stories in the game, but it's not one good story. There's like, oh, now this quest line here with this adventure and the story that around that, and there's surprises and whatever. I'm not going to spoil anything. Really good story. Like, the story is well written and everything. but there's not one consistent story throughout the game. It's more like these little snippets, and then the end game is like, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's yeah, I'm surprised. I had the memory of a good story game. Maybe since then, though, I played like Tainted Grail, and I played This War of Mine, and the 7, other kinds of story-driven games. Near and Far is a great story game. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I had a different approach this time. But the gameplay, the tactical combat and the system, and how you get new items, you level up your characters, you get new cards, you get perks, you get removing your modify. Like the modifying deck is, it's so good. Like the modifying deck is the whole. That's the beauty of the game. It's basically, if you don't know it, I'll explain it like this. I've said this so many times, but it's like you have a die that you modify. So it's worked just like a die. But instead of rolling the die, you draw a modifier card from your deck. And that will be like, you got a plus or a minus or an effect. But then you can spend time and money and actions and all that to improve your deck. So like you modify your die as you go, which you can't do with a die. Well, I guess you can with some Dice Forge and some games where you actually remove pieces of the die and you put out other pieces. So you can do that, but it's so good. And then the monsters also have that modifying deck. So the monsters have their modifying deck, and all your characters have. It's so good. Yeah, I could do like an hour. We'll have a Gloomhaven hour and just talk about Gloomhaven for an hour, but that wouldn't be amusing. If you want to see me talk about Gloomhaven for 100 hours, you can go back and watch all my streams where I did.
No, thank you. No.
I just said we're not gonna have that. So,
Mats, what do you think about it?
I did. I mean, you and me, we played one scenario online in the beta thing, and I could see I could like it because due to the mechanics in the game. I'm not a dungeon crawler. I mean, looking at
I'm not,
and I'm trying to find out but I don't have anything in a dungeon crawler.
I don't have any other dungeon crawlers really on my top list. I mean,
I would say Seven Continents.
No, but that's not
Grail,
dungeon
crawl. It's sort of the same
story
driven.
Exploration, yeah.
If you look at my top here, it's basically
it's very dry Euros. I know.
Yeah. So I mean, but I did like some stuff, and I wanted to play more. But then it's the time thing aspect. So I have the game on Steam. I might try it out. I don't have a computer to play it on.
Solo.
But yeah.
I mean, if you have this game, then you have you have the full campaign now. So that in this, I clump together like I like to do. I clump together another game. So this is also for Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, which I think is a way better game in a lot of senses. I mean, it's like a streamlined version of Gloomhaven. So there's a few things in Gloomhaven's, few rules that I prefer, and so on and so on. But I'm really excited for next year when we get Frosthaven. I backed all in on Frosthaven. So I think Frosthaven will be the ultimate. Just one cool thing in Frosthaven. In Gloomhaven or in Frosthaven, the city, you're going to have like building spots. Nothing there when you start the game. And then when you kill monsters, instead of just like in Gloomhaven, which I also realized is a little bit boring in Gloomhaven, you always get gold. Like you always get the gold from them. Now you're going to get like building materials in Frosthaven so that you can start building stuff, building houses and stuff in the city. That's going to be amazing. And crafting and wow.
So will we see Gloomhaven and Frosthaven on the list moving forward, or will it be?
It depends on how different they are.
Haven.
Yeah, it depends on how different they are.
I do like a game with a dungeon crawling theme. That's Clank.
Yeah, but that doesn't really feel like a dungeon crawler, I guess. Well, it's sort of.
It's the closest thing I get to dungeon crawling, I think.
Yeah. So that's Gloomhaven, my number one. And I mean, this list, I think, no big surprises, right? Or did we have any big surprises? I was a little bit surprised that Terraform Mars dropped for Mats, but did something surprise you guys? I mean, for me, I had the same top 3 as I had last year, so.
No, I kind of knew where Andreas was going in Terra Mystica. We talked about
it that
before, so I knew that was going to end up number 1.
He's so it's really easy to read him.
Yeah, but it's, once again, I mean, we have more crossovers in the top 10 than we did in the 25 to 10 or 10 to 11. So it's also that here we can see that there's some games moving up and down.
How many I don't think I had it. We only had Terraforming Mars, right?
No, we had Lost Ruins of Arnak. You had.
Oh yeah, you and me. Yeah.
And
Robinson Crusoe.
Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah, but that
it
was
wasn't
yeah,
fair.
that's true. With the
Yeah. And then me and Andreas maybe have more because we had Marco Polo, Voyages, Terraforming Mars,
Yeah, but
oh,
maybe
yeah,
if you
in the
look
top
at
25.
Great Western
cross-
Trail,
yeah,
Underwater Cities. So we have maybe more
Yeah.
bit more
Yeah.
crossovers there.
and if you look at the top 25, there will be a lot more crossovers now.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true. Like you had
Someone is
Pursuit
Duel,
of
for
Happiness, you
instance.
had that
Pursuit
one.
of Happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost a lot of games.
Someone's Duel, yeah.
Well, it's not maybe that surprising that we tend to like the same games. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have played games together if we were totally. That would be super interesting if we had 25 different games. No,
Yeah.
it's like
And that would have been amazing, right?
no, probably not.
Well, I mean, we kind of stay in theme. Like if we would go back and look at our list like a year or 2 or 3 years ago, I have more solo games. Like I play more solo. It's just like how we do, right? Andreas, you well, both of you have more Euro games, I guess. In the sense that my games are still Euro games. It's just that they have a little bit more theme in them, like this War of Mine.
Yeah, but it might change for me when my kids grow older and I can start playing some of these games with them, because I really, really want to play Seventh Continent.
Yeah.
Gloomhaven, obviously, but I don't like to play games by myself.
I think you could play Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion with your kids when they are like around 10 or so. Yeah.
That might change, influence the list at some point.
Yeah.
So, but at the moment, all of the gaming time I have is I really like crunchy Euros or something there where I can. It's my favorite type of resting is to do something complex.
Yeah.
That is not my typical work day.
I know. I have the same feeling there. It seems weird, but it's sort of relaxing. Even playing like a brass game can be relaxing and soothing in some way.
You're like, but after it's like, oh, I could go to sleep now. Yeah, that was great. That's super interesting. Yeah.
So, do you guys want to add anything to our top 25 of 2021?
No, thanks for having me again. It's fun to be here. We always have a good time. It's good to discuss and bash each other a little bit about the games, and also that's part of the game, right? It's been amazing.
It was.
Where did that come from? Did you just make that?
Andreas.
I did an amazing thing. Amazing.
I just added this one.
Oh, I missed that totally.
You can see that in the editing, right?
Oh yeah, I'll see it then.
Yeah. So always fun. Let's see if we can change the format.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think we should. I think we should, because I think if we just sit here and talk about Terraforming Mars year after year, it's going to get boring.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Who knows? All right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you had a good time.
If you had a good time, let us know. It's always fun to hear from you. And thank you for watching. Have a great evening or morning, or whenever you're watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.